Chapter 900. Mobile reading. The central region was vast, and was mainly divided into the northern desert, the western Liang, the eastern ridge, and the southern wasteland. Other than these four regions, there was also an uninhabited area in the center. 77%, 77%, 77%, 76%, 64%, 74%, 77%. The no man's land wasn't too vast. And it wasn't that there weren't any creatures living here. It was just that this was the territory of spirit beasts, so there weren't many humans living here. Heartbreak Valley was between the southern wasteland and the no man's land. Standing on the cliff at the edge of Heartbreak Valley again, Sima Yue seemed to see the scene when she and Shi Minfeng were forced to separate again. Shi Nanfeng also stood beside her with a face full of emotion. Back then, he had fallen from here and thought that he was going to hell. Who would have thought that he would be able to escape death? Boss, is this really okay? Anayani glanced at the bottom of the valley. Because of the miasma, he couldn't see clearly. Could anyone survive in such a place? Why did it feel a little ridiculous to establish a force in such a place? Sima Yue wasn't sure either. We'll see if it works. Look. What are you looking at? Of course it's to see if there's a way to solve this problem. Little Seven said. If we can solve the problem of the poisonous miasma and poisonous bugs, it would be good to establish a power here. Right, Yu? That's right. Sima Yue patted her head and said to everyone, I'll go down and take a look. You guys wait here. I will go down with you. Little Seven said. No, you have to wait up there. There's too much poisonous gas down there, and I don't know what's going on. What if it's dangerous? Sima Yue refused. What danger could there be? Little Seven pursed her lips. Don't forget, I'm immune to poison. His true form was the Eye of the Earth, a sacred item for cultivation. Ordinary poisonous insects and miasma were useless against him. Sima Yue only remembered this when she heard her words. She nodded and said, Then come down with me. I'll go too, Wu Lingyu said. Those poisonous creatures can't get close to me. All right then. Let's go down together. Sima Yue said. You guys wait up there. Although everyone wanted to follow her, with their strength, they would probably die before they could even take 2 steps down. They could only wait for her to come up. Yue and the other two flew down. After falling for a few dozen meters, they encountered a poisonous barrier. The poisonous gas was useless against Little Seven, so it flew in without any protection. The moment Yu and Wu Lingyu fell into the poisonous miasma, their bodies burst into flames, isolating them from the poisonous miasma. Once the poisonous gas got close, it would all be incinerated. Sima Yue's flame was Mo Sha's. Wu Lingyu's flame was black, so it should be Mo Sha's soul flame. The miasma was about 30 to 40 meters thick. The three of them passed through the miasma and flew for another few hundred meters before landing safely. The poison above is so strong, but I didn't expect there to be nothing below. Seven looked at the clean valley and said. Sima Yue retracted the flame on her body and said, The poisonous gas below should have been absorbed by the poisonous creatures. This is the outer area of Heartbreak Valley. There aren't many strong poisonous creatures. Wu Lingyu said. If we want to establish power here, we just need to solve 2 problems. But these 2 problems aren't easy to solve. Sima Yue said. Indeed, but I believe you can do it. 2 problems? What problems? Seven asked. One is the miasma, the other is the poisonous creatures. As long as we solve these 2 problems, this place will be ours. Sima Yue said with a smile. Seven looked at her carefree expression, and couldn't help but twitch her mouth. You're really generalizing. It sounds like 2 problems, but it's actually a lot of problems, okay? Every place has a different miasma. If you want to solve this problem, there are a lot of things to do. As for those poisonous creatures, there are thousands of different kinds and powerful ones. Don't just generalize with one poisonous creature. This is the outer area. The sect definitely can't be built here. Let's go inside and take a look. Sima Yue said. She took out 3 jade bottles and handed them to the 2 of them, saying, This is to prevent poisonous insects. Sprinkle some on your body, and you can avoid some trouble. Seven wanted to say that she wasn't afraid of poisonous insects, but if the poisonous insects came, they would have to spend time to deal with them. It would be a waste of time. So she took it and sprinkled some on her body. Let's go. Wu Lingyu naturally pulled Sima Yoyue's hand and walked towards the valley. Sima Yue struggled but couldn't break free. She let him lead her away. Seven pursed her lips and grabbed Sima Yoyue's other hand. She even raised her chin at Wu Lingyu proudly. Sima Yue looked at them and suddenly felt like they were a family of three. The three of them walked towards the depths of the valley. It was called a valley, but it was actually a mountain range that stretched for millions of kilometers. There were many steep cliffs and precipices, surrounded by poisonous miasma. They were now in the outer area of the valley. The terrain wasn't that dangerous, the poisonous gas wasn't that strong, and the poisonous creatures weren't that strong. The deeper they went, the higher the level. There's a pool there. Seven pointed at the pool in front of them. Sima Yue walked over and looked at the pool, saying, "This pool should be where Feng'er fell in. I heard him say that there's a rather powerful poisonous creature inside. Luckily, it wasn't there at that time, so it was able to escape." Bloop bloop. Just as she finished speaking, there was a slight movement from the pool. First, there were ripples, then many bubbles appeared on the surface of the water. Suddenly, water splashed everywhere, and a huge toad emerged from the water. Sima Yue and the rest condensed spiritual energy to protect themselves when the water splashed over. When the water droplets landed on the grass beside them, it actually corroded the grass. "What a strong poisonous water!" Seven exclaimed. "This poison." Sima Yoyue's eyes flashed with pain. "When Feng'er fell in, I don't know how much pain he had to suffer. It shouldn't be this poisonous back then," Wu Lingyu said. "Otherwise, with this poison he wouldn't have survived." Yes. Sima Yue thought about it and agreed. If it was really like this, Shimen Feng wouldn't have survived. He wouldn't have been able to climb out of there and wait for the people from the Kong Valley to save him. This means that the poison here has increased a lot in these few years. It should be. But why? Maybe it has become stronger, or maybe something has changed. That toad saw that the three of them didn't panic after seeing it, but instead were leisurely discussing its territory. It was furious, and with a kick of its hind legs, it attacked them. Seven was thinking about the reason for this change when she saw the ugly toad flying towards her. She slapped it and shouted, "Go away!" Before the toad could figure out what was going on, it was sent flying into the pool. AGS Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Divine Doctor. Chapter 900 Crazy Wife. Chapter 901. I hate ugly people the most. Little Seven said with a look of disgust as she shook her hand. The poor toad didn't even have the chance to do anything before it was heavily injured by Xiao Qi. It lay on its back in the water, half dead. "Forget it, Little Seven," Sima Yue said. "Since it saved Feng'er's life indirectly, let's spare its life today." "Alright, if you says so, then I'll let you go." Little Seven wanted to punch him again, but when she heard Sima Yoyue's words, she retracted her fist. "Let's go inside and take a look," Sima Yue said. Yes. The three of them left the pool and continued to walk forward, leaving the frightened toad behind. What the hell was this? A little kid had severely injured him, but because of another person's words, his life was saved. What saved Feng'er's life? Who could tell him what had happened in the past few minutes? They continued forward and met some poisonous creatures along the way. Centipedes, poisonous snakes, they were all taken care of by Little Seven's fists. Sima Yue could not help but shake her head when she saw her fighting spirit. Why was this little guy so aggressive? According to what that little centipede said, this should be the middle region. Little Seven said, but there aren't many poisonous insects here. Most of the poisonous bugs are outside. The deeper we go, the fewer poisonous bugs there are. Sima Yue explained, because the poisonous creatures inside are much more powerful. Normal poisonous creatures are afraid of them and don't dare to come in. Then we don't have to worry about those poisonous bugs. Little Seven let out a long sigh of relief. She was not afraid of those poisonous creatures, but when she saw those poisonous insects, she felt helpless because it was very difficult for her to deal with those small and numerous poisonous insects with her fists. She wanted to use a group attack, but Yue said that she couldn't because it would affect the other poisonous creatures. Now it was finally better. There weren't so many little bugs to make her happy. From the moment they arrived at the middle of Heartbreak Valley, Yua summoned the little vermilion bird. With his aura, those poisonous creatures did not dare to come over, and the poisonous gas was burned away by him. Yue and the other two walked around and observed the terrain. They found a few wide canyons that were suitable for building houses. The environment here is not bad. If we can develop it, it will be a scenic spot, Wu Lingyu said as he stood on a cliff and looked at the scenery in front of him. You can see the beautiful scenery nearby from here. Sima Yue said. After walking around, do you have a better understanding of the situation here? Wu Lingyu glanced sideways at her. The setting sun fell on her body, adding a layer of warm light to her. More or less. Sima Yue said. Let's not talk about the poisonous creatures for now. Let's talk about the poisonous miasma. I've calculated that there are at least hundreds of them, and the degree of each miasma is different. It will be a headache to research the antidote for the poisonous miasma. The composition of each miasma is different. The antidote is different too. Wu Lingyu said. And the miasma is not like the poisonous creatures that can be controlled. It will be more troublesome to deal with it. It's best if we can find a way to solve the problem once and for all. We can develop a pill that can cure hundreds of poisons. As long as we eat one pill, the effect will be the same no matter where we go, Sima Yue said. Are you confident? I need time. Wu Lingyu knew that she said that because she was confident, but he still reminded her, don't forget, you only have less than 10 months. It should be enough. Moreover, it's okay if we can't research it. Although it's a bit urgent, it's not urgent, Sima Yue said. Yu, aren't we going to recruit people? Little Seven asked. We'll go when we have time. Let's solve the problem here first, Sima Yue said. Things have to be done step by step. You can't be fat in one bite. I can beat people up until they become fat. Little Seven waved her fist. Pfft. I know you're good, but girls shouldn't be so violent, Sima Yue said with a smile. All right, we've finished walking around here. Let's go back. Everyone waited on the cliff for a few days. Finally, they saw them coming up. Boss, how's the situation down there? Anayani saw that they were not injured and asked. We walked to the middle and encountered quite a lot of miasma. We also saw quite a few poisonous creatures. Some of them were very powerful, Sima Yue said. Can we build our forces here? The poisonous creatures are easier to deal with. We just have to negotiate with them. The most important thing now is to solve the problem of the miasma, Sima Yue said. We only went in from one side and walked less than a quarter of the place. We encountered hundreds of miasma. The poison in each miasma is different. It's more troublesome to solve this problem. The whole Heartbreak Valley is too big. There are too many poisons. It's not easy to solve this problem, Feng Kai said. There were so many miasma and the poisons were different. They couldn't refine one antidote for each one. If that was the case, 1 or 2 people would be fine. If it was a sect, how many antidotes would they need? And it wasn't easy to differentiate. It would be troublesome if they took the wrong antidote. When everyone thought about it, they suddenly felt that it was too troublesome to solve this problem. Are we still going to build our forces here? Anayani asked. I'll try to refine the antidote for hundreds of poisons first. Even if we don't have to go through the whole Heartbreak Valley, we have to at least reduce it to a few. Sima Yue said, when the antidote is refined, we can consider recruiting people. Are we still going to look for other alternative places? Sima Yue thought about it and said, there's no need for now. If we can't do it here, we'll look again. I have other tasks for you. Boss, tell us. We'll definitely complete the task, Dai said. Sima Yue looked into the distance and said, this place is not far from Nika City. I want you to go and collect some information. When Shimenfeng heard Nika City, his body trembled slightly. Collect information about who? Zhongzheng clan. Sima Yue said these 4 words lightly. The 10 great villains could feel her boundless hatred. Boss, you and the Zhongzheng clan. Nic asked. Absolutely irreconcilable hatred. Sima Yue's voice trembled. When I first built the forces, I told you that the purpose of building the forces was for revenge. Just to deal with the Zhongzheng clan? Not only them, but also the forces above them. Sima Yue said, Zhongzheng clan Yinyang Palace Sage Pavilion. I won't let any of them go. Sage Pavilion? Everyone looked at Wu Lingyu. Boss, you said in front of the Holy Sun that you want to destroy his sect. Be careful that he doesn't kill you in the cradle first. But looking at Wu Lingyu's expression, how could he have any thoughts of stopping her? Crazy wife. The fifth miss of the divine Dr. Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Dr. Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Doctor Update List %20 Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Doctor Update List Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Doctor Update List %20 Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Doctor Update. Chapter 902. Whatever Yu wants to do, I'll accompany her. Wu Lingyu looked at her affectionately. Feng Kai and the others were confused. What the hell was this? Could this be the legendary? No. Their boss must not be turned gay by this guy. Although this guy looked quite handsome and charming, they still felt that they couldn't accept this man and woman. Shimin Feng did not care about this. His eyes were sad and his voice was trembling. He looked at Sima Yue and asked, this place is also very close to Ji City. Do you want to go back and have a look? Sima Yue lowered her eyes. Can I still go back and watch? Her eyes were filled with tears, and her voice was filled with indescribable sadness. Shimin Feng also choked up. He grabbed her hand and said, you can, they won't blame you. Feng Kai and the others were puzzled as they looked at the two of them. They were fine just a moment ago, so why did they suddenly become like this? She seemed very sad. What's going on? Why did you? Anayani looked at Sima Yue and asked anxiously. Nothing. Sima Yue then remembered that everyone was still there. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and said, Feng, or have you been back? Shimin Feng shook his head. The memories there were all beautiful and painful. His last memory was a sea of fire. He did not want to go back and see those ruins. Are you going back? Shimin Feng looked at her. If you go back, I will go back. If she didn't go back, he wouldn't go back alone. Sima Yue was silent for a while and said, then let's go back and take a look. I want to see what it's like now. All right. Shimin Feng nodded. It would take a lot of courage for them to go back. Yu, I'll go back with you. We will be by your side. Little Seven grabbed her hand and looked up at her. Okay. Sima Yue forced a smile. Boss. Anayani and the others looked at her. They were not used to her being like this. I'm fine. Sima Yue said, be careful when you go to Nika City. The Zhongzheng family is very powerful. If they know that you are investigating them, you may be in danger. We know. Fengji said. All right, go ahead then. I'll look for you guys when I'm done here. Sima Yue said. Yes, boss. Well, boss, no matter what happened in the past, it's better to look to the future. The sadness will pass. Anayani turned around and said. Sima Yue smiled at him. I will. Thank you. After Feng Kai and the others left, Little Seven asked. Yu, when are we going? Sima Yue hesitated and said, let's go now. Since he had decided to go back and take a look, he might as well face it as soon as possible. At this moment, there was a ripple in the air. Sima Yue looked up and saw a spatial tunnel opening. Someone who shouldn't be there walked out. You guys are indeed here. Shi Qianji landed from the sky and came to their side. Why are you here? Sima Yue asked curiously. Didn't you guys go back to the inner regions? We did go back. But I'm here again. Shi Qianji said. From what you said, you're here to look for us. Wu Lingyu asked. To be exact, I'm here to look for you. Look for me? Why are you looking for me? Could it be that Qiu Shuang? No, little junior sister is fine. Shi Qianji said. Someone asked me to come. Sima Yue looked at him cautiously. Someone asked him to come and look for her. How did he know that she was here? Hey, don't look at me like that. Shi Qianji's expression changed when he saw her. I'm here to help you. Help me. Sima Yue didn't believe him. Of course, I didn't do it willingly. Shi Qianji sighed. But since I promised him, I'll do what he asked me to do. Sima Yue narrowed her eyes. She could guess who he was talking about. Eldest senior brother asked you to come? Sima Yue asked. You're so smart. Shi Qianji looked at her approvingly. She hadn't said anything yet, and he had already guessed it. Is there a need to guess? Sima Yue said. There are only two people between you and me. One is Qiu Shuang, and the other is eldest senior brother. Since Qiu Shuang is fine, is there a need to guess who asked you to come? That's true. Shi Qianji said. Can you guess why he asked me to come? Sima Yue glanced at Heartbreak Valley behind her. After a moment of silence, she said, he asked you to come and help me develop the antidote, right? Although it was a question, her tone was very certain. Smart. You can even guess this, Shi Qianji said with a smile. What's so difficult about this? I was originally in the Outer Academy. Most people don't even know that I'm here. But you came here with a purpose. This can only mean that you know what I want to do, Sima Yue said. She didn't know how Jiang Junxian knew that she would come here. But since he asked Shi Qianji to come here, it meant that he guessed her thoughts correctly. Are you curious how he knew? Shi Qianji said. It's okay to tell you. At his request, we left some people in Tianfu City. We knew when you went to Memory Restaurant. After you lost contact with him, he guessed that you went to find a place. Then based on his understanding of you, he guessed that you would definitely come here. So he asked me to come here. Eldest senior brother he? That's true. How does he know you so well? I even made a bet with him that you definitely wouldn't come here. If he guessed right, I would help you for free. If he guessed wrong, you had to come here. He would have to compensate me with a treasure. Shi Qianji said. I didn't think that he would be right. AI, it's been hard on me to be your free labor for so long. Shi Qianji was a poison master. With his help, they would definitely find a solution quickly. Moreover, since they already knew what she wanted to do, there was no point in hiding it. Why not make good use of Shi Qianji? After thinking it through, Sima Yue looked at Shi Qianji and said, Then I'll have to trouble you. Of course, of course. We still have some things to do. You can observe the situation here first. Sima Yue finished speaking and turned to leave. AI, where are you going? Shi Qianji called out. I just came and you're already leaving. Did you go down to take a look? Forget it, I'll go with you. If you don't choose this place in the end, then I'll have wasted my efforts. Sima Yue ignored him. She called out Chongming and flew up. Little Seven and the others followed. Shi Qianji was curious about what they were going to do, so he also flew up to Chongming. Tags, Crazy Wife. The fifth miss of the Divine Doctor Crazy Wife. Godly Doctor Fifth Miss Crazy Wife. Godly Doctor Fifth Miss Update List Crazy Wife. Godly Doctor Fifth Miss Update List Crazy Wife. Godly Doctor Fifth Miss Update Crazy Wife. Godly Doctor Fifth Miss. Chapter 903. The northern part of Ji City used to be the most prosperous area of the entire city, because the biggest clan of Ji City, Shimin clan, lived here. In the past, the population of the Shimin clan occupied 1/10 of this city. Their strength and resources occupied 1/4 of this city. Their residents occupied a large area in the north of the city. His strength back then could be seen at a glance. But now, this place had almost become the forbidden area of Ji City. The ruins stretched for dozens of miles. It was said that the fire burned for a few days and nights before it was extinguished. It was only after the heavy rain that the fire was extinguished. It was said that the Shimin family was exterminated because they offended the Yin-Yang Palace. If anyone dared to get involved with them, they would definitely be implicated. As a result, gradually, no one would come here. The people nearby all moved away, and this place gradually became the most desolate place in Ji City. Broken wells and dilapidated walls. And weeds were everywhere. It rarely rained in Ji City, but today it was drizzling. The raindrops hit people and soon wet their clothes and hair. Sima Yue and Shimin Feng stood in front of the ruins and did not move for a long time. Wu Lingyu, Little Seven, and Shi Qianji, who insisted on following them, were watching them from afar. Shi Qianji held the oil paper umbrella and looked at the backs of the two people. He asked, Are these two people frozen? Why haven't you moved for so long? Little 7 and Wu Lingyu ignored him. Yue and Shimin Feng didn't understand the pain in their hearts even if they told him, so why waste their breath? Besides, they couldn't tell him about Yue. Big sister, let's go in and take a look. Shimin Feng's voice was somewhat hoarse, as if it was blown away by the wind. Look, our plaque isn't completely burned down. There's still a bit of it left. Sima Yue followed his gaze and saw that more than half of the signboard that read Shimin Residence had been burned down by the fire. Only the word "she" was left. She walked over and picked up the plaque. She used her sleeve to wipe off the water droplets on it and said, "This plaque was personally written by great-grandfather. He personally put it on. At that time, everyone praised his good handwriting. Isn't that so? Great-grandpa is the most narcissistic." Shimin Feng recalled. Great-grandfather left behind a lot of calligraphy treasures, but they were probably all destroyed in the fire. This fire, I will make it burn back. Sima Yue said hatefully. The Zhongzheng clan, the Yinyang Palace, and everyone else who started the fire, I want them to do the same. We will make them pay with their blood. Shimin Feng clenched his fist. The two of them walked into the ruins. All the houses had been burned down. The rockery and phosphor stones had been knocked to the ground. The decorations that could be taken away had been taken away, and the ones that could not be taken away had been smashed. All the courtyards were in a mess. Sima Yue stood in the ruins and closed her eyes. It was as if she could see the scene of the Sea of Fire in the past. She saw her tribesmen being killed because they were poisoned. She saw those people laughing maniacally as they destroyed everything. She seemed to see her mother shouting at her, telling her to live well. Feng, have you collected the corpses of father, mother, and the other clansmen? Yes. Shimin Feng said. It was big brother Qin. Qin Mo owes him another favor. Sima Yue said. The space tunnel opened, and Qin Mo and an old man came out. Sima Yue did not expect him to come just as she mentioned him. Yue Feng. He flew to the two of them. Why are you here? Sima Yue looked at him and asked. I have been keeping an eye on this place. When I received news that someone came, I came over to take a look. Qin Mo said. I didn't expect you to come back. You have been keeping an eye on this place all these years? Sima Yue looked at him in surprise. Yes. I thought that things happened so suddenly that someone might have survived because they were not here. Qin Mo said. If they really missed the Shimin clan, they would come back to take a look. That's why I sent someone to keep an eye on this place. If anyone came, I would be able to help your family. Thank you, Imo. Sima Yue looked at him gratefully. I was in seclusion when you got into trouble. Otherwise, I wouldn't have let you. Qin Mo said. This is all I can do for you now. Fortunately, some people did come back these years. I think you will be very happy to see them. There are still people alive? Where are they? There are. I followed their instructions and hid them in the mountains nearby. That place is under the Qin clan's influence. The Yinyang Palace can't find them. Qin Mo was a little embarrassed. I was too excited when I saw you last time and forgot about this. Otherwise, you would have known about them earlier. It's okay. It's the same if you know now. Sima Yue said. If she knew about it earlier, she might not have gone to see them. She was afraid. Shimin Feng knew what she was thinking just by looking at her expression. He reached out and held her shoulder saying, Don't worry. They won't blame you. Sima Yue looked at him. Her eyes were still filled with fear. If they know that you siblings are still alive, they will be overjoyed. Qin Mo said. Moreover, the bones of your clan members are all buried there. She could not escape from the last point. Then let's go see them. Since it's my fault, even if they want to blame me, I will take it all. Sima Yue said. Sister, you. Shimin Feng looked at Sima Yue helplessly. That incident was not her fault at all, but she kept blaming herself. This made his heart ache. Let's go. We will pay our respects to our parents. Sima Yue said. They left the ruins. Little 7 and the rest walked over. Yue. Wu Lingyu called out Yue's name, but his gaze was on Qin Mo. Why was this guy here again? Your Highness, Holy Son. Qin Mo nodded at him. I didn't expect young Master Qin to be here too. Wu Lingyu smiled. His tone and expression were the same as before. Yu, are you okay? Little Seven saw Sima Yu's red eyes and knew that she must have cried just now. I'm fine. Sima Yue smiled at her, then looked at Shi Qianji and said, there is a memory restaurant here. You can stay there for a few days. I have some things to settle. Once I'm done, I will look for you. If you are willing to go and develop the antidote now, that would be even better. You want me to go and work now? What a black-hearted guy. Shi Qianji looked at her and took back his words. He was a kind person. Seeing that she was in a bad mood, he did not want to argue with her. If you don't come back to find me, I will feel better. With that, he held his umbrella and walked away gracefully. Sima Yue looked at him and thought of a word that was very suitable for him. Show off. Yu, where are we going? Little Seven asked. We are going to look for my family. We are going to pay respects to my parents. Chapter 904. Read 336. Sima Yue felt conflicted. She wanted to see those people immediately, but at the same time, she was afraid of meeting them. Ximen Feng held her hand all the way to give her courage. Wu Lingyu, on the other hand, had been staring at his hand the whole way. She wanted to go up and remove it for him. However, seeing that Sima Yue was so anxious all the way, he couldn't bear to do it. Only now did he feel that he did not exist in her past. Even if he was by her side now, the strength he could give her was not comparable to Ximen Feng, her younger brother who had lived with her for hundreds of years. When he thought of this, he felt a little annoyed and suffocated. Chongming brought Sima Yue to the mountains in the southeast of Ji City. He knew about the conflict in her heart. He sighed and sped up, bringing her to face it earlier. Sima Yue did not even notice that he had sped up. We're here. Qin Mo's voice snapped her out of her thoughts. Sima Yue looked at the rolling green hills. So soon? We have been flying for more than half a day, Qin Mo said. They are in the valley ahead. Did you set up a barrier? Sima Yue asked when she did not see anyone. Yes. The people of the Yinyang Palace and the Zhongzheng clan are still in Ji City. To avoid trouble, it's better to use the barrier. Such a large barrier must require a lot of energy. Thank you, Sima Yue said. He had spent so many resources just to protect his family. She didn't say too many polite words to him. If she did, she would be letting down their relationship. She just put this affection in your heart. You've helped me a lot. This is nothing compared to what you've helped me with. Qin Mo smiled and said, let's go down. If they see you guys coming back, they will be very happy. Sima Yue nodded. Since she was already here, there was no reason for her to avoid it. There were some things that she had to face. Moreover, she also wanted to know which of her family members had survived. She missed them very much. Qin Mo led them into the valley and passed through the enchantment. What appeared in front of them was a completely different scene. From the air, it looked like there was no one here, but after entering, they saw that there were several courtyards and a tombstone. The people in the valley sensed it when they entered the barrier. At first, they thought it was the Qin family and came out to see who it was. When everyone saw Qin Mo, they were very happy, but before they greeted him, they saw Ximen Feng beside him, and everyone was stunned. Feng Fenger? The thing in the hand of a burly man wearing coarse clothing fell to the ground. Uncle Qi. Ximen Feng immediately recognized that big man. It was his uncle Ximen Qi. Ximen Qi ran over and grabbed Ximen Feng's arms. Feng, or didn't they say you already? How did you survive? Uncle Qi. Ximen Feng was so excited that he couldn't speak. Yes, young master. Young Master Feng was back. Young Master Feng, you are still alive. The others also surrounded him, surrounding him in the center. All of them were extremely excited, and some of them even shed tears. Auntie Ninth Uncle, you are all still alive. Ximen Feng was also happy to see them, and obediently let them hold his hand. One must know that ever since that incident, no matter how the Kong Valley people treated him, he didn't allow anyone to get close to him. His personality was also much colder, and he wouldn't show his emotions like now. In front of them, he seemed to be the same as before. At this moment, a girl ran out of the courtyard, and when she saw Ximen Feng, She stood there in a daze. Second brother. When the girl spoke, tears started to flow. Her voice was very soft, but it made Sima Yue and Shimin Feng's body tremble, and they looked at her in disbelief. Leer. When Shimin Feng saw her, his eyes instantly turned red, and he was even more excited than before. Sima Yue, who was behind him, immediately shed tears and muttered her name. Leer, second brother. Shimin Li ran over from the courtyard entrance and rushed into Shimin Feng's arms, wailing loudly, "Second brother, I thought I would never see you again in this life. I thought you all left me behind." Sob sob, second brother. Leer, weren't you there that day too? How did you escape? Shimin Feng hugged her tightly, unwilling to let go. When the incident happened, I was stuffed into the secret room by the 10th elder. Shimin Li cried and said, "My body was sealed by the great elder, and I couldn't get out. I could only hear the screams outside. I was so scared, but I couldn't get out. I couldn't save them." Second brother. Second brother. I was so scared. I missed you all so much. Don't be scared, second brother is back. Second brother will protect you. Shimin Feng patted her back and said. Little Seven was infected by the crying scene, and also wanted to cry. She held Sima Yu's hand, and then saw her gaze on Shimin Li, and her tears fell freely. Yu, who is this Leah? She asked. She is our youngest sister. When the incident happened, she was only 15 years old. Sima Yu's voice was choked with sobs. Second brother, father and mother are gone, eldest sister is gone too. Shimin Li cried and said, eldest sister's body was already incomplete when we brought it back. If I didn't have a connection with father and mother, I wouldn't have recognized them. They were all burnt to a crisp. Lear is too late, eldest sister is still here. Shimin Feng comforted. Eldest sister is still alive. Shimin Li came out from his arms and looked at him in shock. Eldest young miss is still alive, really? Weren't eldest young Miss's bones brought back? How can she still be alive? Where is eldest young miss? Why didn't she come back together? When everyone heard that she was still alive, they all asked at once. Elder sister felt sorry for all of you. She blamed herself. Could it be that eldest young miss blamed herself and didn't want to see us? Feng. Or could it be that Yue really blamed herself so she didn't want to see everyone? Shimin Chi said. Shimin Feng was silent. He was thinking about how to tell them about Sima Yue, but everyone took his silence as a silent agreement. Young master, eldest young miss wasn't even blamed for that incident. How can she blame herself so much? That's right. This incident was premeditated by the Zongjing clan. Eldest young miss was also kept in the dark. How can we blame her? Shimin Feng, who originally wanted to explain to everyone, suddenly changed his mind and asked, You guys really don't mind this? Shimin Chi sighed and said, We never blamed eldest young Mississippi. None of us thought that something like this would happen. She usually treats us so well. How can we blame her? That's right. We want to see eldest young Mississippi. Shimin Feng looked at Sima Yue through the crowd. Her face was already covered in tears. Shimin Li frowned and said, Brother, I can sense it. That corpse is eldest sister's. Why? Tags. Crazy wife. The 5th miss of the divine Dr. Crazy wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss Crazy wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss update list %20 Crazy wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss update list Crazy wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss update Crazy wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss. Chapter 905. Mobile reading. Because what she survived was not her body, but her soul. Shimin Feng's words shocked everyone. Soul? Young master, what is the meaning of this? Someone asked. That's right, Feng. Your words are confusing. The body is already dead, so how can the soul be here? Young master, you couldn't have been deceived, right? Young master is still so naive, believing whatever others say. PFFF. When little Seven heard what they said, she laughed out loud. She had been with Shimin Feng for a period of time, but why didn't she notice that he was innocent? It's true. Shimin Feng interrupted them and said, She is my elder sister. Second brother, you know my sensing ability. Elder sister is indeed dead. Shimin Li said. Shimin Feng shook his head and said, If you see her you will believe my words. Where is she? When they saw her, they would definitely expose her true colors. They actually dared to deceive their young master. Did they think that he was naive and gullible? There she is. Shimin Feng looked toward Sima Yue. She was covering her mouth and crying. She came? Everyone turned around and looked behind them. Qin Emo was definitely not the one. They had seen that old man before, but he was also not the one. Only Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu, and Little Seven were left. Wu Lingyu and Little Seven looked at them as if they were strangers. That shouldn't be the case. Only Sima Yue was left with tears streaming down her face. Looking at their expressions, everyone knew who Shimin Feng was talking about. She's the first miss? A young doll? No one believed it. Sister, no one blames you. Why don't you come over and acknowledge everyone? Shimin Feng looked at her. She walked over in a daze, and everyone helped her up. Li. She looked at Shimin Li and said tearfully, Li has already grown so big. Shimin Li looked at Sima Yue. She did sound like big sister, but she looked about the same age as her. How could she be big sister? Young master, you're saying that she's the eldest miss? A young man? Uncle Chi. Sima Yue looked at Shimin Chi. It's me, I'm back. I'm back to atone for my sins. Elder sister was indeed dead at that time. Afterwards, her soul was reborn into her body in the lower continent, so she really is elder sister. Shimin Feng explained. Soul rebirth? Young master, how can you believe such a thing? Feng. I've only heard of the reincarnation of the soul, but I've never seen it before. No one has encountered it for thousands of years. Why do you believe her just because she said so? Sima Yue took out a crystal ball and placed it in front of Shimin Li, saying, I promised you in the past that I would find all the rainbow crystal balls for you. We've already found 3, and this is the 4th. Young master, you see, she definitely knows about the matter of Shimin clan, and came here to impersonate. Someone said, the entire Shimin family knows that eldest miss is looking for a crystal ball for 9th Mississippi. This is not a secret. It's normal for outsiders to know. But you should know the number, right? Eldest miss only found 2 for 9th Mississippi. If she's eldest miss, how can she not know? That year, everyone knew that Shimin Yue found 2 crystal balls for Shimin Li. Only Shimin Li was stunned as she looked at the crystal ball in her hand. Then the tears that she had just stopped fell again. She left Shimin Feng's embrace and pounced over to hug her, saying, Elder sister, it's really you. You're really back. Lear missed you so much. Sima Yue hugged Shimin Li, her tears flowing even more fiercely. 9th miss, what happened? Lear, she just said that this is the 4th crystal ball. Shimin Li hugged Sima Yue tightly, saying, You don't know. On the night of the accident, elder sister came to my room and gave me another crystal ball. She said that one of the guests gave it to her. She saw it and gave it to me. Not long after she went out, something happened. No one knows about the 3rd crystal ball, not even second brother. If Shimin Feng didn't know about it, it was even more impossible for him to tell Sima Yue. So it could only be that Yue herself came back. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing if they should believe her. Sima Yue didn't explain to them. She knew that there was someone more convincing than her. Little Roar, stop barking inside. I know you miss them. Come out. She called Little Roar out from the spirit pagoda. Once he came out, everyone believed half of it. Why, it's really Lear. Lear has grown so big. Little Roar wanted to pounce into Shimin Li's embrace and rub her big chest. But he was thrown away by Sima Yue and landed in Shimin Chi's embrace. Wawa, Uncle Chi, your chest muscles are still developed. Your body refining technique must be stronger. You've made Little Roar's little body hurt. Shimin Chi was stunned on the spot. The matter of Little Roar despising her that year was known by the entire Shimin family. It even became a joke. Now that they saw him doing the same thing and saying the same thing, everyone believed that he and Sima Yue were the same person. But this was too unreal. It's really Little Roar. Little Roar and Young Miss have a soul contract. So she's really Young Miss? Heavens! This is too unbelievable. Soul rebirth, I didn't expect it to really exist. Yue child, it's been hard on you. Shimin Li cried on Sima Yue's shoulder. Her tears quickly soaked her clothes. Sister, you're back. It's great. Sima Yue patted Ximen Li's back just like a long time ago. Feng, or how did you find your? Ximen Qi hugged little Roar and asked. Ximen Feng shook his head and said, I didn't find her. She found me. What's going on? Didn't you say that she was reborn in the lower realm? Yes, but when I met sister, she was in the outer region. Ximen Feng said. Young Miss came from the lower realm to the upper realm. It must have been a rough journey. Young Miss must have suffered a lot. Definitely. It must have been very dangerous and tough to find her from the lower realm. Young master, do you know? About sister, let her tell you personally. Ximen Feng smiled. Since sister is back, she will have time to interact with everyone. Sima Yue felt warmth in her heart. These were her clansmen. Their concern for her always made her feel touched. Qin Emma walked over and said, Since everyone has recognized each other, let's talk inside. Yes, yes, yes. Why are we standing here? Let's talk inside. Ximen Qi wiped the tears from his eyes and brought Sima Yue into the courtyard at the side. Sima Yue held Ximen Li's hand and entered with everyone. She had many questions to ask them. AGS, Crazy Wife, the fifth miss of the Miracle Doctor. Chapter 9055. Chapter 905. Website. Chapter 906. Back in the courtyard, the living room was smaller, and there were more people. Everyone sat and chatted in the courtyard. Big sister, how did you come back? Quick, tell us about you. Ximen Li pulled Sima Yue's hand and made her sit beside her. Sima Yue patted her hand and said, Don't worry about me. I have some questions to ask you guys. Go ahead, big sister. How many of you survived? I was the only one who survived that night. Ximen Li said. Now there are more than 100 people in this valley. Most of them were guards. At that time, they were outside with Uncle Qi and Aunt Yi, so they were lucky to survive. There are only slightly more than 100 people left. Sima Yue's heart ached. The Ximen family was so big, but now there were only slightly more than 100 people left. It's all my fault. If I hadn't brought that thing back. Young mistress, this isn't your fault. That was your birthday. You didn't know that the Zhongjing clan would harm us like this. You can only blame the Zhongjing clan and Yinyang Palace for their wild ambitions. That's right, you. How can this matter be blamed on you? Ximen Qi said. Don't blame yourself. You or the people in the clan won't blame you. Auntie looked at her lovingly. Compared to blaming yourself, they hope that you can live well. I will definitely make the Zhongjing clan and Yinyang Palace pay with their blood. Sima Yue said. Big sister, tell us about yourself. Ximen Li said. How did you reincarnate in the continent below? How did you return to the primordial lands? Looking at Ximen Li's curious eyes, Sima Yue's heart melted. Alright, then I'll tell you about me. She picked out some good things to talk about. Even so, she still spent half a day answering their questions. I didn't expect Big Sister to experience so many things after being reborn. Ximen Li was both envious and heartbroken. You've suffered. Auntie said with heartache. Now that you're back, you should live a good life here. No, I want revenge. Sima Yue said. I swore to make them pay with their blood. But with our current strength, going to take revenge is simply hitting a rock with an egg. Ximen Qi said. I know. Sima Yue said. That's why I didn't say that I would take revenge now. Big sister, do you have any ideas? Ximen Li asked. Sima Yue nodded and said. To tell you the truth, Feng, and I have already discussed and decided to form a force. This time, I came to the central region to choose a location. Build a force? Everyone was shocked. Do you know how difficult it is to establish a power? Ximen Qi asked. I know. Sima Yue said. Now that we've settled the issue of resources, all that's left is to choose a location and recruit people. That's right, San Yang is still alive. San Yang is also alive? Where is she? Yes. She went to look for the embroiderer in the past. She's not with us for now. Sima Yue said. We've already put the matter of building a force on the agenda. When our force is developed, we'll take revenge on them. We have to take revenge for the extermination of our clan. Even if the road ahead was bumpy and full of thorns, she had to go all the way. That's right. We can't forget the extermination of our clan. What they gave us, we have to pay them back in double. Shimin Feng said. Everyone was infected by their emotions and became excited as well. It wasn't that they didn't want to take revenge, but they had no choice but to be defeated by reality, and could only live under Qinmo's protection. Now that there was hope, their fighting spirit was ignited. They clenched their fists and said, "We'll follow Miss and take revenge for our clan." Our resources are related to the foundation of a sect. It's not a small amount. Shimin Qi said. If we rely on business to earn money, we'll be restricted by others. And it's best to have an orvain, only then will it be stable. I know. Sima Yue said. I'm looking for an orvain, and it's a pretty good one. You found an orvain? Where is it? Sima Yue thought about it, and brought everyone present into small Black Lotus realm. After developing the little Black Lotus realm, she moved the orvain here. Everyone was shocked when they saw the small realm. This is a small realm that I obtained. I moved an orvain here. Sima Yue said. It's that one. Everyone looked over and saw a lofty orvain standing under the blue sky. What a long orvain. Such a long orvain can support a sect for many years. It's not just the orvain. This small realm is also huge. How did you obtain this small realm? Sima Yue told them about that incident, but she didn't mention her connection with Mo Lian. It's not just me, Third Madam also has a small realm, but it's not this big. Sima Yue said. After I settle Heartbreak Valley's matter, I can move the orvain outside. That's right. Eldest sister, what are you doing in Heartbreak Valley? Shimin Li asked. I plan to build my sect inside Heartbreak Valley, and use the natural terrain as protection, Sima Yue said. Build it in Heartbreak Valley? That's one of the 3 great poisonous grounds. People die the moment they enter. How can you build a force inside? Shimin Qi asked in astonishment. I came this time to resolve this matter. Sima Yue said. We've already gone down to investigate the terrain inside. The terrain is dangerous and very suitable for building a sect. Also, the poison barrier and poisonous creatures will be our protection. But we have to survive first. It'll be fine as long as we resolve the problem of the poison barrier and poisonous creatures. Sima Yue said. Leave this matter to me. You guys can move over after I resolve these 2 problems. Eldest sister, that Heartbreak Valley is so powerful. Will you be okay going down? Shimin Li held her arm and asked in concern. I'm fine. Sima Yue said. Those poisonous creatures are useless to me. But it's not easy to get rid of the poison barrier and poisonous creatures. Shimin Qi said. Normal people will die if they go in. Even if they have a way, they can only get closer and not go deeper. It's enough to show how bad the situation inside is. That's right. That's why we're using it as our natural barrier. Sima Yue said. I found a helper, he's a poison master and will solve the poison barrier problem with me. As long as this problem is solved, the poisonous creatures won't be a problem. Are you confident? Don't put yourself in danger. Auntie said. If I'm alone it'll probably take a long time. Now that I have his help, the time can be greatly shortened. Sima Yue said. Who's that? Is he reliable? He's from a force in the inner regions. Although it's hard to say, at least he won't tell anyone about this. Sima Yue could still guarantee Shi Qianji on this point. Crazy Wife. The 5th Miss of the Divine Dr. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Dr. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor Update List %20 Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor Update List Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor %20 Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor. Chapter 907. Uncle Qi, Auntie, you don't have to worry too much about these things. Elder sister will take care of it. Shimin Feng said. MNU, has always been a person with a plan. Shimin Qi said. I believe in big sister too. Shimin Li leaned on Sima Yue and said. Now that you've seen it, let's go out. Sima Yue said. All right. After leaving the little realm, Sima Yue asked. Uncle Qi, Where are my parents' graves? I want to see them. Since you've returned alive, you should go and take a look, Shimanchi said. They're on the mountain behind us. I'll take you there. Everyone else go back. Shimanchi could be considered the one who had a say in this place. Once he spoke, the others no longer followed and returned to their own courtyards. Shimanchi and Aunt Yi brought the 3 US siblings to the mountain behind the courtyard. Little Seven and Wu Lingyu were left behind. Why do I feel that after Yu has a family, she doesn't care about us anymore? Little Seven pouted. She's just reunited with her family, so it's natural for her to be excited. I don't even mind. What are you talking about? Wu Lingyu found a chair and sat down, leaning back lazily. Of course I have to, Little Seven said. You are you, I am me, you isn't yours. In the future, Wu Lingyu said confidently, then closed his eyes and pretended to sleep. Humph. Little Seven ignored him and walked around the courtyard. Sima Yue followed Shimanchi and others to the back mountain, and saw a tombstone, on which was written Shiman clan tomb. Those people were basically burned to the point where we couldn't tell who was who, so we were all buried together. Shimanchi explained. Sima Yue and Shiman Feng walked over and knelt down in front of the tombstone, saying, Father, mother, grandfather, grandmother, all the clansmen, your unfilial daughter is back. Fenger is back too. After saying that, the two of them kowtowed together. Shiman Feng stood up. Sima Yue was still buckled on the ground. Sister, let me and Fenger stay. Sima Yue's voice sounded nasal. She seemed to be crying again. Shimanchi and Auntie looked at each other and said, Then we'll go back first. You guys can go back after you're done worshipping. Li, let's go. Shiman Li looked at Sima Yue and shook her head. I'll accompany eldest sister and second brother. When Shiman Feng saw Sima Yue crying on the ground, his eyes couldn't help but turn red. He wanted to persuade her not to be sad, but he couldn't do it himself, let alone her who had always felt guilty. Sima Yue cried for a while before she stood up and said, Father, mother, and all my clansmen, I, Sima Yue, swear in front of your graves that I will destroy the Zhongzheng clan and Yinyang Palace to avenge you. However, even if he killed those people, they wouldn't come back to life. Thinking of this, she cried even harder. Seeing her crying so sadly, Shiman Li couldn't help but cry. Shiman Feng didn't suppress the sadness in his heart, and allowed his tears to wet his cheeks. The 3 siblings cried for more than an hour before they slowly calmed down. Shiman Feng helped the 2 of them up. Eldest sister, don't cry. Father and mother don't want to see you so sad. They loved you the most when they were alive. If they see you cry like this, their hearts will definitely ache. Shiman Li comforted. Although she said this, there were still tears on her face. Sima Yue wiped away her tears and said, I won't cry anymore. You guys also won't cry anymore. This time, I'm crying because of my past mistakes. In the future, we will think of revenge for them. Yes, revenge for our clan, we will definitely do it. Let's go back. If we don't go back, Auntie and the rest will be worried. Shiman Feng said when he saw the 2 figures at the bottom of the mountain. Okay. Sima Yue naturally also noticed the people at the bottom of the mountain. They had been waiting at the bottom of the mountain, ever since they came down and didn't leave. When they returned to the courtyard, Little Seven rushed over and said, Yu, how did your eyes become like this? If you continue crying, be careful that you don't turn blind from crying. Eldest sister, this is. Shiman Li saw Little Seven's soft and tender eyes and liked it very much. Sima Yue held Little Seven's hand and brought them into the living room, saying, I haven't introduced you guys properly. This is my senior brother, Wu Lingyu. He is the holy son of the Sage Pavilion. This is Little Seven. Then she looked at Shimanchi and said, Uncle Chi is third grandfather's son. He is my father's cousin. This is Auntie. She is my other uncle's wife. Although there were some suspicions towards Wu Lingyu's identity as the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, both parties still nodded politely. Eldest sister, with your current appearance, I'm really not used to calling you eldest sister. Shiman Li said, Why don't I call you elder brother in the future? Sima Yue smiled and turned the illusion ring. She turned into a girl, and her aura changed. This is. I'm a girl. It's just that I'm wearing an illusion ring, so you guys see me as a guy. Sima Yue said. But when we're outside, you still have to call me elder brother. Elder brother. Shimin smiled and said. Then she looked at Little Seven and couldn't help but reach out to pinch her face, saying, Little Seven is so cute. Little Seven didn't send her flying because of Yue, but she still shook off her hand and didn't let her pinch her face. This child is quite stubborn, Shimin said. Don't think that Little Seven is a child. She's not weak in battle. She likes to fight. Sima Yue said. If Uncle Chi doesn't believe me, you can try. You definitely can't beat her. I'm a body refiner. She's such a small child. I can't do it. Shimin said. Go help Uncle Chi loosen his muscles. Sima Yue said as she let go of Little Seven. Little Seven really wanted to teach this guy a lesson for calling her a child. So when she received Yue's order, she pounced on Shimin and carried him to the courtyard. Then the two of them started fighting. Very quickly, there were sounds of fighting and screams coming from the courtyard. Yu, is it okay for them to fight like this? Auntie was worried. Uncle Chi's strength hasn't improved after so many years. He must have met a bottleneck. Let Little Seven loosen his muscles and bones. This bottleneck might pass. Sima Yue said. Auntie, don't worry. Little Seven knows what she's doing. Uncle Chi will only be in pain for a few days, but he will definitely not regret being beaten up. Really? Auntie was still worried. She's still a child after all. Sima Yue smiled and said, Little Seven isn't human. She's older than all of us added together. She won't be ignorant. Wah! Shimin went out early in the morning to take a look. When she saw Little Seven's fighting strength, she subconsciously retracted her hand. She even pinched her face just now. She wouldn't beat her up too, right? Shimin strength wasn't low. When Little Seven went easy on him, he still persisted for half an hour. In the end, other than his face, he was beaten up badly. Chapter 908. Half an hour later, Little Seven walked in with his hands clasped behind his back. His little chin was raised like a little rooster that had just won a battle. He was almost clucking. Auntie E had already gone out to check on Shimin situation. Seeing him lying on the ground with a smile on his face, she walked over and said, You've been beaten silly. Shimin glanced at her and said with a chuckle, That little fellow is really ruthless, but this is the first time I've been beaten up so comfortably. Looks like you're very happy to be beaten up. Auntie went up and kicked him. Don't kick, it hurts. Shimin shouted. Can you get up? Auntie said as she kicked him again. I told you to stop kicking. Shimin shouted. To be able to shout so happily, that means it's still okay. Auntie said, Lear, let's go in. Hey, don't go, I can't get up. Shimin shouted. Sima Yue stood at the door and watched them interact with each other. She smiled faintly. Auntie, Little Seven said that it's not convenient for Uncle Chi to move right now. It's best to get someone to carry him in. She walked over and took out a pill for Shimin to eat as she spoke. All right, I'll go get someone. Auntie went out after saying that. Soon, she came back with 2 people and a stretcher. The 2 men lifted Shimin onto a stretcher and brought him back to his courtyard. Big sister, will Uncle Chi be all right? Shimin saw that he was beaten up so badly and asked. I'm fine. I'll be fine in 2 days. Sima Yue said. Let's go. I'll take a look at your body. Shimin was a little nervous when she heard that he was going to show her body. She's fine. Why do you want to see her? Little Seven asked, puzzled. When mother was pregnant with Lear, I helped them recuperate, so when Lear was born, she was already God-ranked. Sima Yue said. But after so many years, she's still a beginner God-ranked. Her talent is very good. She shouldn't have not advanced after so many years. She was born a divine ranker. Little Seven took a deep breath and looked at Shimin as if she was looking at a new continent. Not advancing for so many years, it is indeed a bit strange. Shimin Feng said. Lear, did you notice anything wrong when you were cultivating? Shimin shook her head and said. No, but I don't know where the spirit energy went after it was absorbed into the body. So strange. Little Seven looked at her and said, Is there a hole in your body? Shimin Li's face darkened. What did he mean by having a hole in his body? How could there be a hole in a person's body? Let me take a look at it for you. If there are any problems, it's better to solve them as soon as possible. Sima Yue recalled that her previous self could not cultivate because of the poison. If she had not met her rebirth, she would have been a useless person for the rest of her life. However, if she didn't cultivate for the rest of her life, then the seal on her god and devil body wouldn't have been lifted. At least she wouldn't be like now, worrying that her body would explode at any time. Then let big sister take a look. Shimin Feng said. Yes. Previously, Shimin Li was afraid that they would scold her for being lazy and not cultivating diligently, which was why her strength did not improve. Now that he saw that they didn't scold him, he wasn't nervous anymore. Sima Yue checked her body and didn't find any problems. After that, she asked her to try cultivating while she was checking her body. After a while, she finally stopped. Big sister, did you find the problem? Shimin Feng asked. Sima Yue shook her head and said, Lear's body is very strange. There's no problem at all. However, as she said, the spirit energy that she absorbed into her body is gone. It seems like it was absorbed by something. Absorbed? Everyone in the room frowned. Does all the spirit energy go to the same place? Wu Lingyu asked. Yes. Sima Yue said. The spirit energy did not reach her spiritual ocean. Instead, it disappeared when it got close. It's all in the same place. Senior brother, do you know what's going on? When I was in the Sage Pavilion, I read a book. There was a sentence in it that was similar to her situation. What sentence? Those who leak it usually have a foreign object in their body. Wu Lingyu said. You're saying that there's a foreign object in Li'er's body. That thing absorbed Li'er's spirit energy. Shimin Feng frowned. That's just a guess. Wu Lingyu said. You have to ask your sister whether it's true or not. Let me check again. Sima Yue said. Li, do it again. Shimin Li nodded and entered a state of cultivation again. She let Sima Yue's divine sense enter her body. Sima Yue's divine sense turned into a small person and followed the spirit energy to her dantian. When it was about to reach the dantian, she felt a suction force sucking her and her spirit energy in. Before she could react, she was sucked into a dark place. Why is there such a place in Li'er's body? She thought. Xiao. A strange sound attracted her attention. She followed the sound and saw that the spirit energy was being sucked into a white dough-like thing. That dough-like thing had no nose, mouth, or ears. It only had a pair of blinking eyes. There was indeed a foreign object. Sima Yue was shocked. How could there be such a foreign object in a human's body? When the dough-like thing saw Sima Yue, it immediately cried out. It seemed to be frightened. The dough-like thing revealed its facial features and looked at Sima Yue's divine sense in horror. Yu, who are you? How did you get here? You can even talk. Sima Yue walked over but was stopped by something a meter away. What are you? How did you get into my sister's body? Don't come over. The dough-like thing cried out. Even the owner of this body can't enter. How did you get in here? Sima Yue looked at the way it cried out. Its voice was cute, but she was not confused by its appearance. A parasitic thing that absorbed other people's spirit energy was definitely not a good thing. Answer my question first. How did you get here? Sima Yue asked. If you don't say it, I will destroy you immediately. I don't know. When I woke up, I was already here. The dough-like thing said. What are you? Sima Yue asked. I'm not a thing. No, you're not a thing. The dough-like thing subconsciously retorted. After retorting, it realized that it was wrong and angrily widened its eyes. Sima Yue's mouth twitched. Was this thing insensitive? She did not mean to scold it at first. Tell me, what are you? Why did you absorb my sister's spirit energy? If you continue to act pitiful when you die, do you believe that I will burn you to death? After speaking, she called out a wisp of Qi Yan's flame and looked at the dough-like thing threateningly. Chapter 909. When dough saw the flame on Sima Yue's hand, it shrieked and shrunk its body. Its facial features shrunk, and it really became a ball of dough. Please search to see the most complete. Update the fastest. Hide? If you don't tell me, I'll burn you to death. Sima Yue threatened. I'll tell you if you don't burn me. Little Doe said in a muffled voice. You come out first. Put away the fire first. Little Doe protested. When it saw the flames, it instinctively felt fear. Its intuition told it that the flames would really burn it to death. Seeing that Sima Yue did not move, Little Doe continued. I have a contract with your sister now. If I die, she will die too. Contract? If you did, how could my sister not know about it? Sima Yue did not believe it. Whoever I enter, that person will be my host. But I haven't formed yet, so of course she wouldn't know. Little Doe said. Quickly retract the flame. Sima Yue saw how frightened it was and guessed that it would not dare to keep quiet. She put away the flame and said, Tell me. Sensing the disappearance of the blazing flames, Little Doe popped out its two big eyes and looked around. After confirming that there was no danger, it revealed all its facial features and asked, What did you say? Oh. Sima Yue's lips twitched. She had the urge to send this guy flying. Let me ask you, why are you inside my sister's body? I told you, I don't know either. I woke up here. Little Doe stared at her innocently. What are you? She wanted to say what are you, but when she thought of how it looked just now, she changed her words. Are you a spirit beast? Yes. What spirit beast? I haven't formed yet, so I haven't received the inheritance. That's why I don't know. Why did you absorb my sister's spiritual energy? She's my host? I can only absorb spiritual energy from her body. His words were full of disdain. How could someone ask such a stupid question? Sima Yue resisted the urge to beat it up and continued to ask, You said that you and my sister are in a contractual relationship. How can you prove it? Don't say that you haven't formed yet. My sister can't feel this reason. This reason doesn't hold water. This is the only reason. Little Doe said. Really? Of course it's true. Since the relationship between the two of you is so weak that she can't even feel it, I'm sure she'll be fine even if I kill you. Sima Yue said. Even if she gets hurt, I'm confident that I can heal her. If you don't believe me, you can give it a try. Sima Yue moved her finger as if she was about to summon flames again, scaring Little Doe. No, I have a way to make her feel it. Little Doe shouted. Oh, is there really one? There really is, but it will consume my energy. Little Doe said unwillingly. Then do it quickly, Sima Yue said. Little Doe twisted and turned, and no one knew what it was doing. After a while it said, It's done. She can sense the bond between us. Sima Yue was not in a hurry to confirm this. She would know when she went out to ask Li. You've absorbed all the spiritual energy that Li absorbed all these years? Sima Yue asked. Yes. Little Doe said weakly. So all the spiritual energy has been absorbed by you. No wonder she hasn't improved after so many years. Sima Yue said. Little Doe heard this and felt sorry for its host, and its facial features shrunk back. How long more do you want to absorb? Sima Yue asked. Don't tell me she'll only raise you as a spiritual beast of unknown species? If that's the case, then there's no need for you to exist. Saying this, she wanted to summon flames again. No need. At most another 30 to 50 years will do. Little Doe quickly said. I'm very powerful, it'll be a pity to kill me. Little Doe quickly proved its usefulness and felt wronged. This fellow was much harder to deal with than its host. If it was in her body, she would have found out soon. Also, this fellow was too cruel. The murderous intent in its eyes showed that it really wanted to kill it. Its host was still kinder. 30 to 50 years is too long. Sima Yue said, She's cultivating now. If she wastes all her time on you, it'll be a waste. But I'll be very powerful after I've formed. Little Doe emphasized its usefulness. You'll have to be able to live until then. Sima Yue said. If you don't kill me, I'll be able to live until then. But you've wasted so many years of my sister's time. I don't want to keep you. You heartless fella. You don't think about your sister at all. To think she misses you so much. and cries whenever she thinks about you. Little Do shouted. If you kill me, she'll be hurt, she'll be hurt. I can heal her. Sima Yue said calmly. She'll be sad. She doesn't even know you, she won't be sad. Little Do didn't know what to say, and finally emphasized again. I'm very powerful. I'm very powerful. I didn't see it. I only saw you stealing her spiritual energy, causing her to waste so many years of effort. When I've formed, all this energy will be fed back to her. And it'll be doubled. Little Do said excitedly. Yes, when the time comes, I'll give her double the energy, so her efforts now won't be in vain. Sima Yue raised a brow. There was such a thing? How can I believe you? You won't believe anything I say now, but it's really like that. Little Do said. Is there any way? Sima Yue suddenly asked. What way? Proof. Little Do asked. There's no way, you'll only see it when I've formed. I mean a way to let you form earlier. Sima Yue said. Don't you just need energy? As long as I give you energy, you should be able to form, right? Little Do thought for a while and said, that seems to be the case, but I don't know how to do it. I know how to do it. Sima Yue said. I'll go out and think of a way to let you form earlier, but if you're lying, I'll let you have a taste of my flame. Do you want to try? I don't want to. Little Do refused without thinking. Since you don't want to, then you better not lie to me. If you lie to me. Sima Yue gave it a, you know what I mean look. I won't lie to you. Little Do promised. I hope so. I'll go out and ask Li. If she doesn't feel the contract, I'll come back to find you. After saying that, she dispersed her divine sense and disappeared in front of it. Little Do made sure that she had really left. Then it heaved a sigh of relief. Then it felt wronged again. This fellow was so fierce, it scared it to death. Boo-hoo, because of the shock before forming. It left a shadow in Little Do's heart. After forming, it was still very scared when it saw Sima Yue. Yue was forever black in its heart. Taz. Chapter 9-10. Equals. When the spiritual consciousness dissipated from Sima Yue's body, Sima Yue opened her eyes. Have you found the reason? Shimen Feng asked. Sima Yue nodded and said, we'll talk about the details later. Let's wait for Li, to wake up first. Under normal circumstances, spirit masters wouldn't cultivate in front of others because they would enter a different state when cultivating. If they were interrupted, it wouldn't be good for their cultivation. And it was also more dangerous. Shimen Li was not worried about Sima Yue and Shimen Feng. That was why she entered the cultivation state in front of them. Not long after Sima Yue finished speaking, Shimen Li woke up. She had sensed Yue's divine sense dissipating, but she was a little late because she had to finish this cycle. Big sister. She looked at Sima Yue. Li, do you feel a contract beast in your body? Sima Yue asked. Contract beast? When did Li have a contract beast? When she asked, Wu Lingyu and the others didn't think much of it, but Aunt Yi, who had just come in, cried out in surprise. Shimen Li nodded and said, I can feel it. It does seem to have a special connection with some spirit beast. What's going on? Why would there be a contract beast in Li's body? Auntie asked. Li's strength hasn't improved for so many years, so I checked her body. Sima Yue said. I saw a dough ball in her body just now. It said that it had a contract with Li. The spiritual energy that Li absorbed in her body all these years was absorbed by it. So it didn't rise. There really is something. Little Seven shouted. Sima Yue nodded. Since we've found the reason, then it's easy to handle. Shimen Feng said. But this contracted beast that absorbs spiritual energy, what is it? Inside Li's body, Little Do couldn't help but roll her eyes. Why were these two siblings talking about things? It said that it hasn't formed yet, so it hasn't received the inheritance. It doesn't know what kind of spirit beast it is either. Sima Yue said. It's because it hasn't formed yet that Li can't feel its existence. That dough relies on absorbing Li's spiritual energy to gain strength. But if that's the case, what will happen to Li? Auntie said. Sima Yue told them the news that she had received. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief when they found out that it wasn't a permanent thing. Since I have time, at least I have something to look forward to, Auntie said. And in the future, the feedback will be doubled, which means that the cultivation now is twice as fast as the future. Since that dough is absorbingly spiritual energy, then other methods should work too. Sima Yue said. Pills or spirit stones that help with cultivation should work too. She didn't lack these things now. Let's try, Shimin Feng said. Yes. Sima Yue gave Shimin a spirit stone and told her to try cultivating it. Shimin took the spirit stone and began to absorb the spiritual energy contained in it. She felt that the spiritual energy disappeared after reaching her dantian. She stopped cultivating and said happily, "This works." Then try this. Sima Yue took out a pill and gave it to her. Shimin ate the pill and closed her eyes to cultivate. She got the same result. Seems like it works, Sima Yue said. Then it's easy to do. I don't know what that contracted beast is. It's actually like this. Little Seven placed her hands on the table and said curiously, "We'll know what it is when it forms," Sima Yue said. "I'm curious and want to know sooner," Little Seven said. "I'm really curious." Auntie looked at Shimin. For so many years, they didn't know that she had a contracted beast in her body. Knowing that it wasn't that she couldn't advance, Shimin was very happy. She had a smile on her face the whole day. Because of something, Sima Yue stayed in the valley for a few days before leaving. She said that she would bring everyone over after settling Heartbreak Valley's matters. Before leaving, she took Shimin with her. Little Seven was still dressed like that, but Wu Lingyu and Shimin Feng had changed their appearances, so people couldn't recognize their original identities. Wu Lingyu didn't want others to recognize his identity and cause trouble. Shimin Feng did it to avoid the Zongjing clan and Yin Yang Palace's line of sight. On the way, Yue brought everyone to the Spirit Pagoda. When Shimin saw the scenery change at first, she thought that they had gone to Emolian Su. But upon closer inspection, she realized that this place was different from Su. "Eldest sister, where is this?" she asked in surprise when she saw the resources in the Spirit Pagoda. "This is the Spirit Pagoda, my space," Sima Yue said. "The spiritual energy here is denser, so time passes faster. 1 day outside is 10 days here. So cultivating here is twice the result with half the effort. Also, Little Spirit can directly give you whatever you need. It's much more convenient." Little Spirit. Shimin wanted to ask who Little Spirit was, but before she could ask, she saw a small child appear in front of them. She heard Sima Yue say to him, "Little Spirit, Lear will be in closed-door cultivation here later. Pay attention to her situation." "Okay, Yue," Little Spirit said. Seeing Shimin curious eyes, Yue explained, "Little Spirit is the Spirit Pagoda's artifact spirit, so he can fulfill any request you have here. There's actually an artifact spirit. You can slowly experience the wonders of the Spirit Pagoda later. Anyway, you have plenty of time in the future," Sima Yue said with a smile. "There are still some people living here, but they are in closed-door cultivation right now. You will have a chance to see them later. They are my elders. I won't disturb them," Shimin said. Sima Yue brought her around the Spirit Pagoda and settled her down before leaving. When they returned to Ji City, they went to Memory Restaurant. Qin Mo also introduced her to the shopkeeper here. In the future, she would need to rely on them to do a lot of things in Ji City. Now that she knew them, it would be convenient for her to instruct them in the future. "Why don't I call all the shopkeepers in the nearby cities over?" Qin Mo said. "No need. If there's anything, I can look for the people here. You're so busy, but you've already accompanied me for so many days. I'm already very grateful." Sima Yue declined politely. "It's okay if it's a few more days. If you want to build your power here, there will be a lot of things for them to do in the future." Qin Mo insisted and asked someone to call all the shopkeepers of Memory Restaurant over. Sima Yue originally only came to ask Shi Qianji to go to Heartbreak Valley. She didn't expect it to become a meeting between her and the shopkeepers of Memory Restaurant. When she met them and left for Heartbreak Valley, it was already a few days later. Qin Mo went back. Although he wanted to go with her to solve the problem of Heartbreak Valley, He had some problems in the Qin family recently. There were more things to do, so he had to go back. Sima Yue sent him off, and went to Heartbreak Valley with Shi Qianji. Chapter 9-11. Returning to Heartbreak Valley again, Sima Yue's mood was obviously different from the last time. Please visit. Her mood was heavy before, mostly due to guilt. This time, she was thinking more about solving this problem. Everyone should work together to build a force and take revenge for the family. Shi Qianji had come here before to collect poison, so he was familiar with the place. Let's go down and take a look, Sima Yue said. Shi Qianji nodded. This place changed rapidly, so it was better to take a look again. After all, this place was too dangerous. Since we want to develop the antidote, it's better to go down. I think so too, Sima Yue said. Feng, don't go down. Shimin Feng nodded. If he went down, he would be a burden to them. It was better to wait for them up there. Alright, go and see how Sanyang's matter is going. If it's done, bring her over. There's something good for her here. Sima Yue added. You mean the 9-turned snow silkworm? Shimin Feng asked. Didn't you say that the 9-turned snow silkworm is in Heartbreak Valley? When we go down this time, find time to go and take a look, Sima Yue said. Okay. I'll go find Sanyang. You don't have to rush back immediately. We're not that fast. I got it, Shimin Feng replied and turned to leave. Fenger, wait a minute, Sima Yue said. Bring Little Rock. Yue called out Little Rock and asked him to come along. This place was not far from Zhongzheng clan and Weiyang Palace. If there was any danger, Little Rock could find help and tell her through the contract. Shimin Feng did not refuse. If this could make her feel more at ease, he was willing. Shi Qianji looked at Little Rock's back and said, This is your king of rocks? It's domineering. Sima Yue glanced at him and said, You can try if it's domineering. Oh no. Shi Qianji quickly shook his head. This king of rocks was not very strong now, but if he found a group of birds, how could he be his opponent? Let's go, Wu Lingyu said. The four of them flew down the cliff together and landed at the same place as before. They followed the same route as last time and walked around the outer and middle circle. When they passed by the pool, the toad inside was so scared that it stuck to the bottom of the pool, not daring to come out. After walking one round, Shi Qianji roughly understood the area she needed. You're not going to the inner circle, right? He asked. I'm not going. Sima Yue said. The poison in the inner region is too high. Now that we don't have much time, we only need to clear the outer and middle regions. As for the inner circle, we'll do it when we have time. That makes things easier, Shi Qianji said. I haven't studied the poison in the inner circle. If I want to do it, it won't be done in 1 or 2 years. I know. We just need to go to the front, Sima Yue said. I've studied the poison in the middle and outer regions before. Do you have any requests? Shi Qianji asked. It's better if it's simple. We don't need an antidote for each poison barrier. They'll be too busy eating the antidote, Sima Yue said. There's so many of them. It's impossible to do it all together, Shi Qianji said. I think it'll be divided into a few areas. I can accept a few as long as it's not too many, Sima Yue said. It's best if it's the kind that won't clash with the medicinal properties. For example, we can eat it together and walk around after eating it. There's a certain level of difficulty, but it's not impossible. It'll just take a long time, Shi Qianji said. If you're willing to wait, that's fine too. How long will it take? If I'm alone, it'll take about a year. Shi Qianji said. If you're with me, I don't think it'll be 1 + 1 = 2. Jiang Junxian said before that she was well versed in poison techniques. Judging from his tone, her poison techniques should not be low. She calculated the time and said, I have 10 months now. If I need 1 month to settle things, I can only have 9 months at most. Otherwise, you'll be the only one researching here. Shi Qianji stared at her. Why did he feel like he was being abandoned? Then when do we start? Any time is fine. I've brought all my things. Shi Qianji said. When do you think we should start? Then let's start now. Sima Yue also wanted to start earlier. Since there was someone familiar leading the way, it shouldn't be difficult to solve this problem. The development of the situation was just as she expected. Shi Qianji's poison techniques were indeed very powerful. In addition, he had done some research on this place. With her around, what should have taken a year was solved in half a year. In the temporary laboratory, 8 antidotes of different sizes and colors were placed on the table in the middle. Now there are 8 areas and 8 types of antidotes. If you want to combine these antidotes, it's possible, Shi Qianji said as he looked at the antidotes. Sima Yue didn't expect the antidotes to be developed so quickly. She was very impressed with Shi Qianji's ability. Let's combine them again, Sima Yue said. Let's use another month. If we succeed, we can reduce the number of antidotes by half. If not, we can accept 8 antidotes. Shi Qianji actually felt that this was enough. However, thinking about how they wanted to establish their power, if there were more people in the future, this antidote would indeed be a troublesome matter. Since she had already made the request, he could only comply. Combining the antidotes was even more troublesome than directly researching the antidotes in each area. This was because they had to consider the problem of the conflicting properties. Both of them were responsible for it. They spent 1.5 months to reduce the number of antidotes from 8 to 4. Sima Yue was very satisfied with this result. She looked at Shi Qianji and said gratefully, "Thank you. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have solved the problem of the antidotes so quickly." "You're welcome. If you really want to thank me, next time when I come to find you to research poison techniques, don't lock me out of the sect," Shi Qianji said. If I have time, I definitely won't reject you. If I don't have time, then forget it," Sima Yue added in her heart. "Then your smile isn't sincere," Shi Qianji said. "Since the problem of the antidotes has been solved, I won't participate in the remaining matters. I will go to the inner region to collect some poison and return." "All right." Sima Yue did not urge him to stay. She still had a lot of things to do. With him by her side, it was indeed not easy to do them. "Goodbye." "Wait a minute." Sima Yue called out to him. "Is there anything else?" Shi Qianji turned back and asked. Sima Yue thought for a while and said, "Since your sect leader is your master and also Qiu Shuang's father, I have one more thing to say. The Sky Splitter Devil Sword is not that easy to control. Its demonic nature has not recovered yet. If your master can't control the demonic nature of the sword, he might become a killing machine. I won't tell anyone about this within the time limit we agreed on. However, it's best that you don't leave it in the sect. Otherwise, it might lead to a calamity." Chapter 912. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor. Chapter 912. Kicking the Ball. Chapter 912. Kicking the Ball. Type: Transmigration Author. Book title. Shi Qianji looked into Sima Yue's eyes. He did not expect her to stop him to say this. "No pop-up window. I will pass this message on." Sima Yue heard his words and knew that he did not take her words seriously. However, she could not do anything now. The Sky Splitter had appeared and Ling Long could not display her powers because of her. If people knew that Ling Long was with her, those so-called righteous people would immediately kill her and remove her relationship with Ling Long. They would snatch her away and fight for justice. The temptation of the Sky Splitter was too great. As long as one had the desire, they would not be able to resist it. Hence, she could not force them to give up. "I was just giving a suggestion. I know your good intentions. Thank you. Goodbye." After Shi Qianji finished speaking, he turned around and flew towards the inner regions. Sima Yue waited for him to leave before turning her attention to the antidote. After thinking for a while, she kept the antidote and turned around to enter the spirit pagoda. Half a month later, when she came out again, there was only one antidote left. She took out the Mother Sunstone and contacted Wu Lingyu. Very quickly, he and Little Seven came back together. "You were back." Little Seven opened the tent's curtains and ran in. Shi Qianji left. Has the antidote been developed?" "It has, but we still need to find someone to confirm its effects," Sima Yue said. "Let me do it." Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue shook her head. Your body has the characteristics of the demon clan. You can't do it. You can't do it either. Sima Yue looked at Little Seven and said, your body can run around without the antidote. It would be a waste to give you the antidote. Little Seven rubbed her nose. She seemed to be right. Then we have to find someone to test the antidote. This antidote should be fine under normal circumstances, but just to be sure, it's better to try it on someone. Let Feng Kai and the others come back. We can capture a person from the Zhongzheng clan. Sima Yue said. This is a good idea. Little Seven clapped her hands in approval. Sima Yue did as she said. She contacted Feng Kai and the others and told them that they could come back. She also asked them to bring someone back. Nika City was indeed not far from here. They came back a day later with a man in white in their hands. The man lost consciousness and was carried in the hand like a small child. Sima Yue's pupils constricted when she saw that person. Boss, you know him? Aniane asked. There aren't many people in the Zhongzheng clan that I don't know. Sima Yue said. He's the young master of a side branch of the Zhongzheng clan, Zhongzheng Luo. He was there that night as well. Damn, we caught an enemy all of a sudden. Aniane said. Boss, why did you ask us to catch him? To test the medicine. Sima Yue said. Wake him up. Kongren took out a bottle of antidote and sniffed it under Zhongzheng Luo's nose. He sniffed, frowned, and woke up. His consciousness quickly came back. Zhongzheng Luo remembered that he just came out of his house and turned into a small alley. He saw someone blocking the way, then he fainted. Now that he had appeared in an unfamiliar place, he must have been brought here by them. He jumped up from the ground and looked at all the strangers. He asked, Who are you? Why did you bring me here? Be careful that I don't chop off your heads. Aniane went up and kicked him, then he fell heavily on the ground. Who do you think you are? You want to chop off our heads? Do you believe that I can chop off your hands with one slash? Ah, it hurts. Zhongzheng Luo held his stomach and stood up. He looked at them, each of them exuded a strong killing intent. He said timidly, I have no grievances with you. What do you want to do with me? What do you want? We can discuss it. With this kick, he didn't call himself a master anymore. His attitude also softened. Zhongzheng Luo, you're still the same. You bully the weak and fear the strong. Sima Yue said. Who are you? I don't know you. Zhongzheng Luo looked at Sima Yue. He thought about it in his mind. He really couldn't remember when he knew such a person. Is that so? It doesn't matter if you don't know me. I know you. Sima Yue said. Then why did you bring me here? What do you want? Our Zhongzheng family has money. Zhongzheng Luo asked. Can't you see? Sima Yue sneered at him and said. I'm not interested in your family's money. I'm interested in your life. Zhongzheng Luo had a bad premonition. He forced a smile and said. We don't know each other. We have no grievances. Why would you want my life? Then you have no grievances with the Shiman family. Why did you exterminate their family? Sima Yue suddenly flipped out. Her figure flashed and teleported to his side. She grabbed his shoulders and pressed him down. She lifted her right knee and kicked him in the stomach. Ouch! Zhongzheng Luo screamed. He didn't have time to resist. Sima Yue threw him out again. Little Seven flew up and kicked him towards Wu Lingyu. Catch! Wu Lingyu didn't want to participate in such a boring game. But he remembered that this person had participated in the extermination of the Shiman family. He thought of Yu Yue's red eyes. He couldn't kill this person. He could only kick him to vent his anger. The person flew over. He kicked him out. The person flew in front of Shurchen again. Shurchen's eyes flashed with hostility. When they went to investigate, they knew what the Zhongzheng family did to the Shiman family. Although he didn't know the relationship between Yu Yue and the Shiman family, from the relationship between her and Shiman Feng, it was definitely not bad. The Shiman family was exterminated. Zhongzheng Luo was directly involved. This person deserved to die. Thinking of this, he didn't kick him out immediately. Instead, he grabbed him and grabbed his right wrist. His hand immediately dropped down. On my hand! Zhongzheng Luo screamed. But before he finished, he was thrown out. Sima Yue didn't expect them to play a game of kicking a ball. She didn't expect that Shi Chun, who looked so gentle and quiet, would be so agile. Thinking about it, none of the 10 brothers were merciful or soft-hearted. If they were, they wouldn't be able to survive until now under the situation of being chased by the world. "I'll do it!" Aniani shouted. He flew into the air and grabbed Zongjing Luo. He crippled his other hand and threw him out. "Why you bad guys? You crippled people without discussing with me. I want to do it too. This time I'll break 2 of his ribs." Little Seven said and flew up again. Poor Zongjing Luo didn't know anything. His limbs were crippled, his bones were broken, and he was kicked around like a ball. Chapter 913. From the beginning to the end, Sima Yue watched from the side, watching them vent their anger for her. She watched as Zongjing Luo was beaten black and blue like a pile of mud. Wu Lingyu stood beside her and watched with her. It was some time before she stopped them. After everyone vented their anger, Zongjing Luo only had 1 breath left. Sima Yue had already calmed down. She shook her head and said, "You guys beat him up to this extent and even wasted pills to heal him. Isn't he still breathing? Let him eat it and throw it down." Little Seven said, "It's best to let the person who took the medicine stay down there for a few days to make sure there's no problem." Sima Yue said, "But with his current condition, I'm afraid he won't be able to last 2 days. If this isn't wasting my healing pills, then what is it?" Hee, I was a little too harsh. Aniani smiled at Sima Yue. He no longer looked as ferocious as before. Sima Yue laughed and shook her head. She walked over and stuffed a pill into his mouth. Zongjing Luo had already lost consciousness. When he smelled the scent of the healing pill, he swallowed it subconsciously. The pill that Yu gave him was the worst out of all the pills she had. Even so, the pill was still considered to be very good in the outside world. After Zongjing Luo ate the pill, he quickly woke up. Although his body was still in pain, it was much better. He saw a pair of boots in front of him. He raised his head and met Sima Yue's murderous eyes. "Who are you? Why are you doing this to me?" He couldn't figure it out. Sima Yue squatted down and said, "Didn't I tell you just now? If you can kill people for no reason, so can we." Zongjing Luo's pupils shrank. She really intended to kill him. "No, don't kill me. I'll give you whatever you want. Really, my Zongjing clan is very strong. Do you think I care about your Zongjing clan's things?" Sima Yue said, "Tell me, how many of the things you're enjoying right now were stolen from the Shiman family?" "You are a member of Shiman clan? Who are you? I've never seen you before." Zongjing Luo said, "How many people of Shiman clan have you seen?" "That's right, you had once followed them to the Shiman clan, and used the excuse of sightseeing to walk around. You should have seen many people of the Shiman clan. Speaking of which, we are old acquaintances." "Old acquaintance?" Zongjing Luo narrowed his eyes. He thought for a while and said, "Impossible, I've never seen you before. Who are you?" "I'll tell you who I am before you die." Sima Yue leaned in front of him and sneered. "You should focus on recuperating now." When Zongjing Luo saw her smile, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cellar, and his whole body turned cold. He felt as if he had seen the Grim Reaper. A thick aura of death surrounded her. No, you can't kill me. If you kill me, my family won't let you off." He screamed, but no one paid any attention to him. Sima Yue stuffed the antidote into his mouth, stood up and said, "Let's go down." Aniani stepped forward, grabbed Zongjing Luo's clothes and lifted him up, saying, "I really want to throw him down." Zongjing Luo's face turned pale when he heard it. It wasn't far from Nika City. He naturally knew where it was. If he was thrown down, he would be poisoned to death even if he didn't fall to his death. "Don't kill him. Boss still needs him," Shi Chun reminded. "I know. I'm just saying," Aniani said. "The antidote hasn't been tested yet. You guys wait up there." Wu Lingyu took Zongjing Luo and Yue flew down. "Ah!" Zongjing Luo began to scream when he saw the poison barrier, but he didn't show any signs of being poisoned after passing through the poison barrier. They took him around the periphery and the middle, and then found a place to stop. 3 days later, he was still alive. Moreover, due to the effects of the healing pills, his injuries from the previous beating had all healed. Zhongzheng Luo didn't expect that he would be fine after staying in Heartbreak Valley for so many days. He was secretly happy. Thinking of the antidote experiment they mentioned before, he guessed that the antidote should have worked. He didn't expect that someone could develop an antidote to the Heartbreak Valley's poison miasma. He wanted to sneak away while Yu Wei and the others were talking, but before he flew 2 meters away, there was a piercing pain in his leg. Ah! He screamed and looked down. His right foot had turned into ashes. A ball of flame slowly burned up from his right foot. The pain made him lose his balance and fall from the air. Sima Yue walked over, playing with a bunch of flames in her hand. "Why aren't you running away?" she asked faintly. Zhongzheng Luo looked at his leg getting shorter and shorter in horror. He used his spiritual power to try to extinguish the flame, but it burned faster and faster. "Ah! Who the hell are you? Why are you doing this to me?" Sima Yue sneered. "I said, we are old acquaintances. I still remember you. Why don't you recognize me?" "Impossible. It's impossible for me to know you. The people of the Shiman family are all dead. Who are you? Where did the devil come from?" Zhongzheng Luo was in so much pain that he couldn't speak. "Devil?" Sima Yue chewed on these 2 words, and then smiled. "Yes, I'm a devil, a vengeful devil. Since I'm a devil, I naturally crawled out of hell." The flame burned his right leg. Sima Yue waved her hand, and the flame went to his left leg. It started to burn from the foot, and went up little by little. Zhongzheng Luo was about to collapse. Why did this person do this to me? Are you wondering why? Sima Yue sat beside him and said, "Zhongzheng Luo, let me remind you. I'm the person you have always disliked and wanted to kill. Once when I went to your Zhongzheng family, you challenged me. Unfortunately, I broke your leg in the end." Zhongzheng Luo thought about what she said. He thought about all the things in the past. The only person who broke his leg in the Zhongzheng family was that person. He suddenly raised his head and looked at Sima Yue. He looked at her in disbelief. You are? Shiman Yue. It seems that I left a deep impression on you," Sima Yue said. "No, impossible. You're already dead. How can you be alive?" Zhongzheng Luo kept shaking his head. He didn't believe that she was Shiman Yue. "Yes, I'm already dead. I went to hell. So I said that I crawled out of hell," Sima Yue said. "You're talking nonsense. Shiman Yue's soul has already scattered. Tell me, who are you?" Sima Yue sneered. "Scattered soul? Ha ha ha. Yes, my soul almost scattered. Unfortunately, the genius in your family didn't succeed. She wanted to refine my soul, but my soul was reborn. Maybe, the reason why I can come back to take revenge on you is because of her artifact. Tell me, should I thank her?" Crazy Wife. The 5th Miss of the Divine Dr. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Dr. Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor Update List %20 Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor Update List Crazy Wife. Divine Doctor 5th Miss %20 Crazy Wife. 5th Miss Godly Doctor. Chapter 914. Zhongzheng Luo was shocked speechless. The entire Zhongzheng clan knew that Zhongzheng Hanyu used the soul-locking lamp to refine Sima Yue's soul. However, this was a secret of the Zhongzheng clan, and no one else knew about it. Unless it was Shiman Yue, the party involved. She's really Shiman Yue, it's funny. Zhongzheng clan and Shiman clan had always been opposing each other, but I foolishly believed that my acquaintance with her was accidental, and my sisterhood with her was real. I always thought that she was different from the rest of your family, and that we could really be friends. What do you mean by geniuses appreciating each other? I'm just too naive. And I actually accepted her gift, the most vicious gift in the world. Zhongzheng Luo looked at the smile on Sima Yue's face. It was as if he saw a devil destroying their entire family. The fear in his eyes was magnified, and he ignored the pain in his body. Sima Yue looked at the fear in his eyes with satisfaction and continued. "You're very surprised to know that I'm back. Hee, don't worry. I'll start my revenge journey as you wish, and you'll be the first person I kill. You don't have to be sad. You'll be able to see your family soon. They will go down to accompany you." You. Zhongzheng Luo opened his mouth, but he still couldn't say anything. He was too shocked and terrified. He looked at her face and believed her words from the bottom of his heart. She's here for revenge. Now that you know the truth, you can go in peace. Sima Yue said. But since you know the truth, I can't let you go to the ghost realm. But you can watch from heaven how your family is destroyed. What do you mean? What do I mean? You will soon understand. Sima Yue smiled brightly, but Zhongzheng Luo's heart turned cold. Yue no longer controlled the speed of the flames. In just a breath's time he was burned to ashes. When his soul was engulfed by the flames, he finally understood what Sima Yue meant. She wanted to burn him to ashes, so that he would not even have the chance to go to the ghost realm. I didn't think that Crimson Flame's flames could actually burn souls. Little Seven blinked and said. It always works, but I've never used it before. Sima Yue said. This is the first time. Do you think I'm being too cruel? Little Seven shook her head. What they did to you was much crueler than this. Yu, since the antidote has been cured, let's go up and tell them. Yes, let them come down and take a look. I'll go refine some antidotes first. Sima Yue went to the spirit pagoda and spent 10 days refining hundreds of antidotes. They returned to the surface and distributed the antidote to Feng Kai and the others. Then, they went down together and finally determined the location of the sect. It was the first time Feng Kai and the others had entered Heartbreak Valley. They had heard of the reputation of this place before, but they had never been here. Along the way just now, we passed through several miasma. If it wasn't for the antidote, I'm afraid we would have been poisoned to death at the beginning. Dai said. The antidote for each place is not the most difficult. Kongren said. The most difficult thing is to develop an antidote for hundreds of poisons. They only took one antidote and they could walk around, indicating that the antidote was useful for any miasma. Sima Yue took them around and said, the poison in the inner region is stronger and not easy to break through, so we can only build the sect in the middle region. Even in the middle region, no one can come here usually. Kongren said, ordinary people will die if they get close. Those poison masters can only wander around the periphery. There are very few people who can come here like this in the middle region. That's right, the inner region is enough. Shirchun said, what we want is temporary protection. When we are strong enough, even if others find us, they won't dare to do anything to us. When the sect is built, we will use the array to protect outside. Those people break the natural barrier of Heartbreak Valley. We still have the array to protect us. Feng Kai said. Since no one has any objections, then let's decide on the final location. Sima Yue said. We can just choose one. Why do we have to choose one? Little Seven didn't understand. We can use the topography and geography to set up a more suitable array. Choose a place that is more spacious and suitable for building a house, and also suitable for setting up an array. Sima Yue explained. Oh, all right. Then let's walk around again. Little Seven said. Boss, you should have already chosen a place in your heart, right? Yusi said. There are a few places, but I didn't make a final comparison. Sima Yue said. Then let's go take a look. Everyone walked around again, and finally decided on a relatively large valley as the location of their sect. Fengji frowned in confusion. What's wrong, big brother? Fengji looked at Sima Yue and asked. Boss, why didn't we see those poisonous creatures after walking for so long in the middle region? You guys solved this problem too. Sima Yue then noticed that ever since they came down, they hadn't met any strong poisonous creatures. She shifted her gaze to Wu Lingyu. Wu Lingyu said, You and Shi Qianji spent so much time researching the antidote, Little Seven and I had nothing to do, so we walked around the middle region. So, we've already taken care of those poisonous creatures, and we've also told them that we'll build a sect here in the future. We asked them to keep their eyes open and not hurt our people. They all agreed. Little Seven smiled and said, You guys actually secretly solved this problem. Sima Yue didn't notice them when she was researching the antidote. She didn't expect them to go and deal with those poisonous creatures. We even went to the inner region. Little Seven said, The poisonous creatures in the inner region are stronger, but they can't beat Brother Lingyu and I. With the two of us together, we're invincible. She didn't forget to praise herself after that. There are a few fiercer ones in the inner region. They said that as long as our people don't go in and provoke them, they won't come out to attack us. Wu Lingyu added. Thank you. Yue was in a good mood as the problem that gave her a headache was solved just like that. Why did you guys think of looking for those poisonous creatures? Brother Lingyu said it. Little Seven said. He said that since you solved the problem of the poison barrier, we'll solve the problem of the poisonous creatures, so that you won't have to waste time and effort to solve this problem after researching the antidote. Thank you, senior brother. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu gratefully. Do you still need to thank me? Wu Lingyu said. Sima Yue smiled and didn't dwell on this. She said to Feng Kai and the rest, you guys build some houses here these few days. I'm going to pick up some people. They'll live with everyone in the future. Yes, boss. Yes, boss. Chapter 9:15. There were many poisonous plants and flowers in Heartbreak Valley, but there were also normal trees. It was not difficult for them to build houses. When the spirit beasts were summoned, one of them was equivalent to dozens of people. Some were chopping trees, some were chiseling stones, and some were repairing stones. Everyone was working in full swing. Shi Chun and Feng Kai were laying the foundation in the valley. The two of them chatted while resting. I really didn't think that there would be a day where we would settle down. Feng Kai sighed. In order to build the house, they had dug out a lot of foundations. The hillside was still full of potholes, and the stones and wood that they had brought back were placed randomly. The whole valley looked messy, but even so this scene still felt warm in their eyes. They had had enough of licking blood from their blades. In the past, as long as they settled down, it wouldn't be long before they were discovered and hunted down, causing their hands to be stained with blood. Later on, they gradually gave up on the idea of settling down and always wandered around the various cities or forests. Now he could finally settle down. Yes, I really didn't expect it. Shi Chun said. He had thought of clearing everyone's names, but this path was too difficult. It was so difficult that he didn't know how to do it. He still remembered the words that Sima Yu had once said to him. She said, on this continent, the method of bleaching won't work. On this continent, there was also killing and becoming stronger. As long as one became stronger, so strong that no one would dare to touch them, those people would naturally not dare to come again. Only by becoming strong can you truly live the life you want. She also said, if one person's strength is not strong enough, then gather the strength of a group. Stagnant water can always form a sea. Now that he thought about it, her idea was more practical. There are so many unexpected things. Yusi walked over and said, in the past, I never thought that we would be subdued by a single person. I never thought that we would call someone who is only a fraction of our age boss. Isn't that the case now? I think our current life is pretty good. And I commanded the spirit beasts to place the stones they brought back next to the foundation. When he overheard their conversation, he interrupted. In the past, our lives were somewhat aimless. Other than resisting the pursuit, we were also avoiding the pursuit. Thinking about it, it was also a little muddling along. Now that we've settled down, everyone will have more time to cultivate in the future. It seems like everyone feels that this kind of life is not bad. Fengji said, this way at least our decision is correct. But sometimes when I think about boss, I still feel a little hurt. Hongwu said, she's simply a freak. I don't think any of the geniuses in the inner regions can compare to her. Boss must have had a fortuitous encounter that ordinary people don't have. Otherwise, it's impossible for her to have such achievements at her age. Fengji said, but she's ruthless to herself. That time in the dark forest, so many monarch rank experts came to oppress her. If it were us, I'm afraid we wouldn't have any room to retaliate. But even if she dragged everyone to hell with her, she wouldn't compromise. Speaking of which, I think it's good to follow boss, Anayani said. She did that to protect her friends. This shows that boss is a person who values friendship and loyalty. That's right. I agree. Dai thought so too. I don't know what's the relationship between Boss, Zhongzheng clan and Shimen clan. I always feel that Boss is hiding a lot of secrets. When Boss is willing to tell us, she will naturally tell us. Shurchen said. I think Boss has more than one secret. No matter what secrets Boss is hiding, I still prefer the domineering her. Seeing the sadness emitted from her body makes one's heart ache. Anayani said. If there weren't those things, Boss wouldn't make herself work so hard. Hongwu said. Anyway, I've already followed her. I'll understand her more in the future. Fengkai said. Boss said they were going to pick someone up. Who are they going to pick up? Won't we know when they come back? They said 2 or 3 days. They should be back soon. Everyone should work harder. Don't wait for Boss and the others to come back. This place will still be like this. Work. When Sima Yue came back, she saw everyone working in full swing. Young master, this is the middle region of Heartbreak Valley. A group of people came out of the space tunnel. They didn't feel any discomfort after taking the antidote. Yes, this is where everyone will live in the future. Sima Yue said. The houses here aren't built yet. Everyone has to help. Everyone looked down. There were only a few potholes in the entire valley. Not a single house had been built yet. Sima Yue walked down and saw that there were potholes everywhere. Fengkai and the others looked at her awkwardly. Why is it like this? Sima Yue asked. Well, we don't know how to build houses. So we can only move things back and lay the foundation. Shurchen said embarrassedly. Uffed. Little Seven laughed out loud and said, I thought you guys were omnipotent. So you guys are also stumped by this kind of thing. Do you know how to? Little Seven stopped laughing and said honestly, I don't know how to. Sima Yue smiled and said, although Fengkai and the others are very capable, they have their own specializations. They might not know how to do this. Yes. Boss is right. Anayani nodded in agreement. She was right. They had their own specializations. No one specialized in building houses. Sima Yue continued, we'll talk about building houses later. Let me introduce you guys. This is Uncle Chi, Auntie and the others. They are all from the Shimen family. They are Mai and Feng Er's relatives. Uncle Chi, this is Feng Ji, Fengkai and the others. You guys should have heard of them. They are the famous top 10 evildoers in the primordial lands. Both sides nodded. They knew each other. Shimen Chi had some doubts in his heart. He didn't know why Sima Yue was with the top 10 evildoers. But since she said that they were on the same side, he could ask her if he had any questions later. Sima Yue knew what Shimen Chi was thinking when she saw his expression. The Shimen family used to be a righteous family, and wouldn't be with those evil people. Now that she saw Fengkai and the others, she naturally couldn't accept it. Uncle Chi, Fengkai and the others are very good people. You'll know after you get to know them. Sima Yue said. The people our sect will accept in the future won't be people like them who are implicated by their reputation. There might be real evildoers in the future. You are what's wrong with you? Shimen Chi was shocked. She didn't say this before. Uncle Chi, I know you can't accept it in your heart. But I have my reasons. Sima Yue said. You have to believe me. I won't form an evil sect to harm the world. Chapter 9:16. Yue, I believe that you won't do anything bad, but if the people in the sect are all evil people in the future, I'm afraid that they will use the sect to do evil. Shimen Chi said. I will swear an oath before I let them join. I can't control them, but the laws of heaven and earth can. Sima Yue said. This method is indeed feasible, but will those who join be willing? Auntie asked. Spirit masters were all very arrogant. If they were asked to swear an oath, they might not be willing. I won't ask them to make any excessive oaths. I only ask them not to rape and rob in the future, and not to take the initiative to do evil. Sima Yue said. If anyone is unwilling, then don't take them. In fact, many people don't do evil willingly. Some are forced to do it, and some can't help it. I'm sure you can handle it, Simenik said. Big Sister said that if we want to take revenge in the future, we can't casually drag others down with us. Those who want to join must tell us that there will be a battle in the future. If you're not willing, I won't force you. Shimonli said. When Sima Yue returned, she called Shimonli out. After this period of cultivation, she could clearly feel that little Dou's strength was increasing. Yue has always done things appropriately. Auntie said. Oh right, big brother, where's second brother? Shimonli looked around and didn't see Shimonfeng, so she asked. When she went back, she thought that Shimonfeng stayed here to build the house, but there was no one here. Feng, or went to pick up Sanyang. Sima Yue said. I contacted Little Rock earlier, and he said that they are already on their way back. They should be here soon. Are we going to see Sanyang? Shimonli grabbed Sima Yue's hand excitedly. I haven't seen third aunt for so many years, I miss her too. I miss you too. Little Roar poked his head out from her embrace, and said with his round eyes. What a beauty! I haven't seen her in a long time. Sima Yue saw Little Roar's lecherous look, and pulled him out of Shimonli's embrace and threw him to the back. She really didn't want to look at him. Her eyes hurt. Third Madam brought back some embroiderers this time. The spirit cloth industry will be one of our pillars in the future. Sima Yue said. We need to recruit more masters from other professions. Shimonchi said. If we want to develop a sect, we need more professions. We have alchemy, weapon refinement, array formation, beast taming and seeker spirit masters. Although the number is small, we are still in the early stages and do not have high requirements for these. Sima Yue said. I feel that what we should do now is to build the house. Little Seven said. I'll ask Grandpa and the others to come out and help. Sima Yue said. There's strength in numbers. If we're talking about building houses, the best builders are still the gnomes. Wu Lingyu said. The houses they build are the most stable and reliable. The gnomes who are the best at weapon refinement and building? Sima Yue frowned. Isn't this a small race in the legends? This race doesn't even exist now. Who says it doesn't exist? Wu Lingyu smiled and said. Since it's a legend, then it really existed. Maybe some have already disappeared, but some have been passed down. Really? You've seen them before? What do they look like? Shimonli looked at him curiously. Wu Lingyu still gave face to his future sister-in-law and patiently explained to her. They don't look too different from us. They have eyes, nose and ears. It's just that they are much shorter than us and their palms are much thicker. If there really are gnomes, we can find them. I heard that they are natural weapon refinement masters. The spirit weapons they create are beautiful and powerful. Sima Yue said. When she said the word powerful, a thought flashed through her mind. Yu, do you want them? Wu Lingyu asked. You know where to find them? Sima Yu's eyes lit up. Wu Lingyu liked seeing her eyes. They were sparkling and bright, so bright that it reached his heart. If you want, I know where to find the Vestigial clan. We can try. Whether it will work or not, I don't dare to guarantee. Wu Lingyu said. Vestigial clan. If there's time, we'll go look for them. Sima Yue said. Let's forget about it for now. Let's just build our own houses to live in. We'll talk about those big buildings later. Uncle Chi, you should know how to build houses, right? This isn't difficult. Shimonchi said. Sima Yue called Sima Lai, Yinlan and the others out. The Shimon clan thought that they were in closed-door cultivation in the Little Realm, so they weren't too surprised. Feng Kai and the others were surprised. When they found out that Sima Yue had a Little Realm, they were even more surprised. After getting to know each other, everyone started to build houses together. Sima Lai and the others had built houses in the Spirit Pagoda before, so it was easy. The Shimon clan's guards had built houses in the valley before, so they had experience. Moreover, the materials were all readily available, so a few big houses were built next to the mountain. The others chose their houses and moved in. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu went to set up the array. Sima Lai and Shimonchi slowly got to know each other as they built houses together and became good friends. When the houses were built, the two of them gathered together to drink and chat. Thank you for raising Yue, Shimonchi said gratefully. If it wasn't for her, Yue wouldn't have been reborn. Yue is a good child. Even if she isn't my biological granddaughter, she is still very good to us. Sima Lai said as he drank a mouthful of wine. You must have been very sad to have changed your soul. Shimanchi thought that Sima Lai was talking about Yu's soul, and not his biological one, so he asked. He could imagine Sima Lai's feelings. The granddaughter that he had raised for more than 10 years had become someone else. Actually, at the beginning, we didn't know that she had changed her soul. We only felt that she had become more sensible and worked harder. Later, when we all accepted her as such, she told us the truth. At the beginning, when we found out that she wasn't her, we felt strange in our hearts. But later on, we accepted it. Sima Lai said, I just don't know what her biological parents would think if they knew. Isn't she your biological daughter? Shimanchi asked curiously. No. She is a child left behind by my benefactor, and was given to me to raise. Sima Lai said, if I didn't guess wrongly, her family should be one of the more powerful families in the primordial lands. That family also has the surname Sima. The more powerful Sima family, Shimanchi immediately thought of the one in the inner regions. Crazy Wife, the fifth miss of the Divine Dr. Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Dr. Crazy Wife. Divine Dr. Fifth Miss Update List %20 Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Miraculous Dr. Crazy Wife. Divine Dr. Fifth Miss %20 Crazy Wife. Fifth Miss Godly Doctor. Chapter 9:17. Sima Yue did not tell Sima Lai too much about the Sima family. She only heard that they were a big family in the inner regions. Therefore, Sima Lai only knew that there was such a family power in the primordial lands, but he didn't know what kind of power it was. But Shimanchi was different. He had gone out with the patriarch before, and had come into contact with the outside world. He had heard of such a force. If Sima Yue was really from that family, he didn't dare to imagine what would happen next. He was afraid that a storm would be inevitable. Grandpa Uncle Chi. Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu came back from outside. When they saw the two drinking on the hillside, they walked over to greet them. Is the array ready? Sima Lai asked. Yes. Sima Yue nodded. Seeing the two of them drinking, she said, why don't you cook some side dishes while drinking and chatting? Hee, I've been spoiled by your culinary skills. I don't think anything else tastes good. Sima Lai said. Those things are too unpalatable. It's better to just drink wine. Sima Yue smiled and walked over to sit beside Sima Lai. She held onto his arm and said, Grandfather is saying that Yue won't make good food for you, right? I haven't eaten it in a long time. Sima Lai did not deny it. Sima Yue also felt that it had been a long time since she had made good food for Sima Lai. Since she had the time and mood today, she rubbed against Sima Lai's shoulder and said, What does grandfather want to eat? Yue will make it for him, okay? As long as it's done by you, anything is fine. Sima Lai said with a smile. Sima Yue tilted her head and looked at Shimanchi. Uncle Chi, what about you? I'm fine with anything too. Shimanchi said. It's been a long time since I've eaten your cooking. I almost forgot what you can cook. Then I'll just make something simple. Sima Yue stood up and took out her cooking utensils on the slope. Sima Lai and Shimanchi both liked to eat spicy food, so she made a few spicy dishes and 2 light dishes. Little Seven ran over before the first dish was ready. When she saw Sima Yue cooking, she was so happy that her face bloomed. Before she could say anything, she was sent by Sima Yue to call Shiman Li and Auntie. Sima Lai and Shimanchi were already seated at the table. Shiman Li and Auntie came. When they saw Sima Yue cooking, they were very happy. The two of them sat down together. Sima Yue still had one more dish to cook, but they had already started eating and drinking. Wu Lingyu also sat next to Sima Lai, and was pulled by him to drink. Lingyu, are you pursuing my family's Yue? Sima Lai suddenly asked. Wu Lingyu's hand that was holding the wine cup trembled slightly, and a drop of wine flowed out. Strange, why am I so nervous? Could this be the legendary phobia of meeting parents? Grandfather, Sima Lai raised the wine cup and drank it, saying, Don't think that I can't tell. Your eyes are glued to my family's Yue all day long. That gaze is the same as when I looked at my wife. When Wu Lingyu heard him say that, he did not object. His voice was still cheerful, saying, "Yes. I like Yue." "Humph. I knew that you brat would always come to my family's Yue for no reason. You don't have any good intentions." Sima Lai heard him admit it and turned hostile, saying coldly, "My family's Yue is not that easy to pursue. If it were someone else, I would have chased them away with a broom. As for you, seeing that you have done so many things for her, I will reluctantly not chase you away." But Wu Lingyu's heart was raised when he saw his expression change, but when he heard him say that he did not dare to leave by himself, he calmed down again. He had never experienced such ups and downs before. Thinking back to when he was Wu Lingyu, he had interacted with all kinds of people and had all kinds of control in his hands. When had he ever experienced such ups and downs? As Mo Sha, even when facing thousands of soldiers and horses, he would not have this kind of mood. Now, with just a few words, he was able to feel ups and downs. Only her family could do that. But he understood her. If her family did not approve of him, she would be very troubled. He did not expect that he, who did not care about anything, would one day be so concerned about what others thought of him. Sima Lai drank another mouthful of wine and continued, "We don't care about your matters. But if you dare to make her sad, we will not let you off easily. Do you understand?" "Grandfather, don't worry. I will not let this happen." Wu Lingyu promised. He never liked to make promises because he always felt that these words were empty. Only what he really did was real. But facing her family, he knew that he had to make some promises in order to make them feel at ease. Shimanli looked at Wu Lingyu and said, "Wawa, am I going to have a brother-in-law?" Sima Yue took the freshly cooked dishes from behind her and said, "I don't know when brother-in-law will have one, but you will have a sister-in-law soon." "Sister-in-law? Second brother has a sweetheart too?" Shimanli asked. "Yes, a girl who sounds good," Sima Yue said. "Aya, you and brother both have sweethearts. Now I am the only one who doesn't have one." Shimanli said, "Sister, have you met my future sister-in-law? Is she good-looking? Is she easy to get along with? How did brother fall for her?" Shimanli had too many questions, so much so that Sima Yue forgot that they both had sweethearts. "I have met her. She is quite pretty and easy to get along with. Her personality is a bit straightforward, but it is still okay. If you meet her, you will probably like her too." She smiled and said, "Speaking of which, she is quite thankful to her. These years, Feng'er's heart has been very uncomfortable, and she has always been by his side. If it wasn't for her, Feng'er would have been even more uncomfortable these years." "Is there no one else accompanying second brother?" Shimanli asked with heartache. "No." Sima Yue shook her head and said, "To be exact, it is Feng'er who doesn't allow others to get close to him. Xiang Yi only managed to break into his heart because she kept pestering him. Second brother wouldn't have stopped others from getting close to him in the past." Shimanli said. Sima Yue told them about her encounter with Shiman Feng, and Shimanli's eyes reddened. "I didn't expect brother to have suffered so much. Second brother used to be very vain. I don't know how he survived after his face was disfigured." She felt heartache when she thought of Shiman Feng's situation at that time. Luckily, Sister Xiang Yi accompanied him and didn't completely shut him off. "That's why we should thank her properly," Sima Yue said. Her expression changed, and she smiled and said, "We were just talking about them when they came back. Little Peng said that they are already outside Heartbreak Valley. I will go and bring them in." "I will go with you." Wu Lingyu followed her and stood up. "No need. Accompany grandfather for a few more drinks." Sima Yue pushed him back and turned to fly outside. Tags, Crazy Wife. The 5th Miss of the Divine Dr. Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th Miss Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th Miss Update List %20 Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th Miss Update List Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th Miss %20 Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th Miss. Chapter 918. Read 336. Sima Yue came to the cliff and saw Shiman Feng, Third Aunt Du, Xiao Wu and Little Peng talking. Behind them were a few unknown women. They should be the embroiderers that they had found. "Brother Yue." Xiao Wu saw Sima Yue and waved at her. I was just telling Uncle Chi and Lear about you when you came back. Sima Yue said, take the antidote first, then I'll bring you in. She distributed the pills to everyone and brought them to the valley. Shurchen, these are the embroiderers. Take them down and settle them down. Sima Yue said to Shurchen, Sanyang, you and Xiaowu can stay in the same courtyard. Anything is fine. Third Aunt Du said. Then pack up. I'll bring you to see Uncle Chi and Auntie. Sima Yue said. They're drinking and eating meat on the mountain behind us. All right. Third Aunt Du and the rest didn't have anything to do. They just wanted to take a look at their courtyard. After checking the courtyard, Sima Yue brought her and Xiaowu to the back of the mountain. Third Madam. One big and one small flew towards Third Aunt Du among them. Shimin Li threw herself into Third Aunt Du's arms while the other fellow was kidnapped by Sima Yue. Aya, you let me go. I want to go and welcome San Yang. Little Roar's little legs kicked in the air, but he was unable to break free from Sima Yue's demonic claws. San Yang and Lear are catching up. Why are you going there to be a third wheel? Sima Yue pulled its long ears. But I miss San Yang too. I also want to go and reminisce about old times with San Yang. Little Roar said unwillingly. Forget it. Sima Yue picked it up by the ear as if she was picking up a stalk of straw and sat down in front of the table. This is Xiaowu, San Yang's disciple. Xiaowu, this is Big Sister's grandfather, this is Uncle Chi, Auntie, and the one with San Yang is little sister Li, Shimin Feng introduced to Xiaowu. Xiaowu bowed to the elders one by one. After not seeing each other for a while, she had followed Third Aunt Du everywhere and gained a lot of knowledge. She also understood their affairs and looked much more mature. She had never thought that there would actually be such a mystical thing in this world. Simultaneously, she felt sorry for her master and the people of Shimin clan. It seemed that one needed to experience in order to grow. Otherwise, one would always have the temperament of a child. Since everyone is having dinner, why don't you all sit down and eat together? Sima Yue said. Xiaowu sat down beside little Seven. Shimin Li and San Yang also walked over. A table had already been filled, so everyone took out their stools and squeezed together. I didn't expect that so many people of Shimin clan are still alive. That's great. San Yang's eyes were filled with tears as she caressed Shimin Li, who was beside her. Originally, she was already very happy that Shimin Feng and Sima Yue were still alive. She didn't expect that Shimin Li, a child that she had watched grow up, would also be alive. Yes, everyone survived. Shimin Chi said. But we were all out of town, so we were lucky to escape. Only the 3 siblings survived the massacre that day. Uncle Chi, San Yang, today is the day that everyone reunited. Let's not talk about those sad things. Let's have a drink first. Sima Yue said with a smile. Everyone raised their cups. After a few days, senior brother, help me bring my brother and the others over to take a look. Then we will all be here. The sect will be officially established. Sima Yue said. When the time comes, I will have to trouble senior brother. Wu Lingyu nodded and agreed to her request. When everyone is here, let's have a feast together. Sima Yue said. Let's call those fellows over and celebrate. All right. Second brother, when will you bring my future sister-in-law over for us to take a look? I am very curious about her. She said that she will come over after she has finished with the things on hand. Shimin Feng said. Really? Then I will be able to see her very soon. Shimin Li said happily. Don't be too excited when the time comes. You will scare Xiang Yi. Sima Yue joked with a smile. I definitely won't. Shimin Li said. My future sister-in-law has traveled extensively. How could she be scared by me? Shimin Li said. Aya, I wonder what my future sister-in-law will give me as a present. Shimin Li kept calling her sister-in-law. Shimin Feng smiled and accepted it gladly. Oh right, San Yang, after we finish eating, I will bring you to find the 9-turned snow silkworm. Sima Yue said to Third Aunt Du. Okay. When Third Aunt Du heard about the 9-turned snow silkworm, her appetite to eat lessened. She wanted to find it earlier. Sima Yue knew that she was anxious. She picked up some food for her and said, the 9-turned snow silkworm is in the inner region. Our current antidote can only travel in the outer and middle regions. We will have to eat the antidote first. However, that antidote is something that I have just researched. It has not been improved. Eat it first. When we finish eating and go to the inner region, it will be effective. So third ant, you don't have to be anxious. She took out a pill and gave it to third ant Do. After third ant Do ate it, she knew that it was useless to be anxious now. She ate with everyone in peace. Everyone was satisfied with the meal. It was mainly because they had more relatives. Everyone was happy. After the meal, Sima Yue, Wu Lingyu and Little Seven brought third ant Do to the inner region. The others stayed in the valley. The deeper they went, the stronger the poisonous miasma. The level of the poisonous creatures that appeared also became higher. However, when those poisonous creatures saw Wu Lingyu and Little Seven, they all hurriedly ran away. These two fiends are here. Everyone quickly hide. Sima Yue saw them running away and laughed. She did not know what Wu Lingyu and Little Seven did to them to make them so scared. Third ant, it's on the snowy mountain in front. They came to the bottom of a mountain. Because of the poisonous miasma, they could not see the scenery on the mountain. The antidote that third ant Do ate was only a general antidote for hundreds of poisons. It was not completely targeted at the inner region. Therefore, third ant still needed Sima Yue to burn a clean space for her. She raised her head and looked at the poisonous miasma. I didn't expect the 9-turned snow silkworm to live in such an environment. The 9-turned snow silkworm is smart. They won't be found by humans if they are here, Sima Yue said. If Little Seven and the rest were not immune to poison, and kept wandering around the valley, we would not have found them. Let's go up. Sima Yue brought her up the mountain. After passing through the poisonous miasma area, she retracted her flame. Third ant Do used her spiritual energy to form a protective circle. The four of them flew towards the top of the mountain. Because the altitude was too high, it was already covered in snow halfway. When they reached the top of the mountain, it was even more white. They looked around but did not see any 9-turned snow silkworm. Is it really here? Third ant Do asked. Sima Yue looked at Wu Lingyu. That's what that old scorpion said. The 9-turned snow silkworm is on this snowy mountain, Little Seven said. But at that time you called us, so we didn't come up to check. But I think that old scorpion wouldn't dare to lie to me. Otherwise I'll pull off his leg. Crazy wife. The 5th miss of the divine Dr. Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss update list %20 Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss update list Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss %20 Crazy Wife. Godly Dr. 5th miss. Chapter 919. In that case, they had never seen this 9-turned snow silkworm before. They circled around the top of the mountain again, but there was still only white snow. F***CK, don't tell me he really isn't here? Little Seven burst out. She rolled up her sleeves, and was about to go down the mountain to find trouble with old scorpion. Little Seven, wait. Sima Yue grabbed Little Seven. Listen. Little Seven quieted down, and heard the rustling sound of snow under the ground. There was movement. Rustle, rustle. Rustle, rustle. Rustle, rustle. Small piles of snow appeared on top of the snow, and then little heads popped out from them. It was the silkworm's round head. Hey, someone's coming. A little 9-turned snow silkworm cried out. Russell, it's really a human. How many years has it been? There are actually humans here. Aya, is this a human? I've never seen a human before. I heard that humans are very fierce. Should we hide? They've already discovered us. There's no point in hiding. Alright, let's not talk anymore. But I'm very excited. Beware of the king punishing you. Oh, I didn't say anything. Sima Yue watched as the group of snow silkworms chattered away. She didn't feel any sense of danger from an intruder at all. Cough, cough. She coughed to attract the attention of the snow silkworms. Humans, what are you doing here? A snow silkworm crawled out of the snow cave. Sima Yue counted and found that its body was divided into 7 segments. It should be a snow silkworm that had experienced the Qi revolution. Where is your king? Sima Yue asked. You want to see our king? Yes. We have something to discuss with it. Is that okay? Sima Yue said. Our king doesn't have the time. That 7-turned snow silkworm refused without thinking. If you have anything to say, just say it to me. Can you be the decision maker of your snow silkworm group? You go first. We can make the decision for ordinary matters. All right. We would like to make a deal with you. Sima Yue said. We don't make deals with humans. Those snow silkworms refused without waiting for her to finish. You didn't even listen to the details of the deal. Who knows, I might suggest something that you're interested. You humans are cunning. We're not going to make a deal with you. That snow silkworm said. Leave the snow mountain. Otherwise, don't blame us for being impolite. As soon as he said that, the snow silkworms that were still in a daze crawled out of the snow and kicked them, as if they were ready to fight. But Yue that snow silkworm. We are here to look for your king. How can we leave without seeing him? Sima Yu said. Then don't blame us for being impolite. I think it's better for you to listen to our deal before making a decision. Sima Yu said. I don't want to hurt you. You us? Yu, of course you it. Looks like we're going to have a fight. Sima Yu said helplessly. Master, let me do it. Sanyang's spirit silkworm said. Yue, don't be in a hurry. Sanyang called out Ruali, the spirit silkworm king. When Ruali came out, she nodded at Sima Yue. She would never forget Sima Yue for saving her life. Green silkworm king? That Yue of course recognized Ruali in her human form. Call your king out. Ruali was a high and mighty king in front of others. She spoke with an innate arrogance. Our king is not free. Yue of course refused to inform them. But a snowstorm suddenly engulfed the entire mountain peak. When the snowstorm dissipated, a silver-robed man with black hair appeared in front of the snow silkworm. There was a cold aura around him, and his face was expressionless. He looked cold and arrogant. He glanced coldly at Sima Yue and the rest. They felt a chill. King. The snow silkworms all bowed. Ruali, you actually made a contract with someone. Jiuyin looked at Ruali with shock and disbelief. There was an accident. The contract saved my life and my child's. Ruali smiled. She didn't reject the contract. What happened? Jiuyin's face darkened when he heard that she almost lost her life. Ruali flew over, and the two of them started chatting. Little Seven looked at them chatting intimately and asked curiously. Ruali and Jiuyin seem to have a good relationship. Should be. Sanyang said, the spirit silkworms have a good relationship with each other. Ruali said that she has a good relationship with many spirit silkworm kings. I wonder if she can do anything. Little Seven said. They won't fight so easily. Sima Yue said. That's true. After a while, Ruali flew back and said. Jiuyin is the most arrogant of all the spirit silkworms. If he made a contract, he definitely wouldn't agree. I think Sanyang didn't want to make a contract with him either. Sima Yue said. Right, Sanyang? Sanyang nodded. I was forced to make a contract with you. Why would I make a contract with him? Seeing that you saved Ruali's life, you can tell me why you're here today. Jiuyin looked at them. He didn't put away his cold attitude because of Ruali. We want your silk. Sima Yue said. Jiuyin's request wasn't strange. Humans usually only had this kind of request for spirit silkworms. However, the spirit silkworm clan didn't care that much about silk. They weren't willing to trade with humans because they didn't like humans. Just like how Ruali liked Sanyang, that was why she was willing to trade with her in the dark forest. Name your conditions. If there wasn't anything that moved him, even if it was them, he wouldn't be willing. I'll refine pills for you. Sima Yue said. Pills. Our spirit silkworm clan doesn't have much desire for pills. Jiuyin wasn't satisfied with her condition. But you'll definitely like my pills. Sima Yue said. You're so confident. Jiuyin said. Of course. If I wasn't confident, how would I be able to negotiate with you? Sima Yue said with a smile. She took out a pill and threw it to him. Jiuyin caught it. You'll know the effects of this pill after smelling it. Jiu-yin wasn't interested in her pill. However, since she gave it to him, there was no harm in smelling it. Snow lotus. He opened his eyes wide. That's right. This is a pill with snow lotus. Other than snow lotus, there are other precious herbs. Sima Yue said, this pill can help your people break through the bottleneck and enter the next transformation. Are you satisfied with this condition? Chapter 920. Only then did Jiu Yin's expression change. I know that you 9-turned snow silkworms have to turn every once in a while. Every time you turn, your body will have one more segment. Sima Yu continued. But every turn is very difficult for you snow silkworms. The early stages were still manageable, but after the 5th revolution, the further one progressed, the more difficult it became. The snow lotus can help you succeed, but there aren't many of them. It will be even more difficult for you to obtain snow lotuses. After all, you don't go out often. Am I right? Humans really do have a lot of thoughts. Jiu-yin said faintly. It was hard to tell whether he was angry or happy. The snow lotus is precious. Even we don't have much of it. Sima Yue said. Little Spirit rolled his eyes in the spirit pagoda. Keep bragging. Sima Yu said in her heart not to interrupt and continued. Furthermore, even if they eat the snow lotus, they may not succeed. As for this pill, I've added in other precious herbs, so I can guarantee that they will have a 100% success rate. You can experiment with it. Experiment? I'll give this pill to you as a gift for our first meeting. You can try it on a subject that has always failed and see the effect. Sima Yue said. I'm here. If anything happens, you don't have to worry about finding someone to explain it to. Jiu-yin hesitated. Your Majesty, let me try. The 7-turned snow silkworm that spoke before said. Anyway, I've been stuck here for so many years. If I succeed, it'll be good. If I fail, there's nothing to be regretful about. Let me test it out for everyone. Jiu-yin thought for a moment and gave the pill to him, saying, if something happens to you, I'll let them accompany you. It seemed that although he looked cold, he was still very good to his people. However, in fact, he also believed that this pill was really useful. After all, snow lotuses were too rare. There was no need for her to lie to him. The 7-turned snow silkworm ate the pill, and its body began to convulse. Following that, rings of silver silk appeared around its body and wrapped around it. In the end, it turned into a thick cocoon ball before stopping. How long does each cycle take? Little Seven asked. The time required for each turn is different. This is his 8th turn, so the time required will be even longer. According to the normal speed, it would take about 4 days. Ruoli said. Then we have to wait for 4 days. No need. This pill can increase their speed. They should be done in 2 days. Sima Yue said. You really have foresight. You knew to prepare this beforehand. Little Seven said. This was prepared by senior brother. Sima Yue said. I've been so busy recently, where would I have the time to understand the habits of the 9-turned snow silkworm? And where would I have the time to refine this pill? Why haven't I seen you concoct any pills? Little Seven looked at Wu Lingyu. When you ran out to look for food, Wu Lingyu said. Since we need 2 days, let's wait. Sima Yue said. After we solve this problem, we'll look for the next one. Next one? Third Aunt Du was slightly stunned. You said before that if there's a spirit silkworm in Heartbreak Valley, it should be the ringed silkworm. Sima Yue reminded. You're saying that the ringed silkworm is here too? Third Aunt Du looked at her in surprise. When she said that there was a spirit silkworm here, it should be the ringed silkworm, but she didn't expect that she was right. Sima Yue nodded, saying, the ringed silkworm is indeed in Heartbreak Valley, it's not far from here. King Jiu-yin, right? Jiu-yin glanced at Sima Yue indifferently and didn't deny it. I didn't expect it to really be here. In the future, when we build a sect here, there will be 2 spirit silkworm clans behind us. With Ruali's, we won't have to worry about the supply of silk in the future. Third Aunt Du said. Ringed silkworms are ferocious by nature, your little tricks won't fool them. Jiu-yin said with some disdain. Ferocious ones are easier to deal with, we can talk with our fists. Little Seven said. Wait until I beat them up until their parents can't recognize them, then they will agree. Little Seven, how many times have I told you, you're a girl, don't be so violent and talk with your fists. Sima Yue said as she patted Little Seven's head. Little Seven retracted her fists, pulled down her sleeves, and pretended to be a lady. They waited on the snow mountain for 2 days, and on the morning of the 3rd day, there was movement from the cocoon. A ray of light shot out from inside, directly breaking the cocoon. Ha ha ha, I've finally succeeded in my 8th transformation. 7 turned snow silkworm, no it was now 8 turned snow silkworm, jumped out of the cocoon and laughed loudly. King, I've succeeded, this pill is indeed useful to us. Jiu Yin's cold eyes flashed with a smile saying, not bad. How is it, can we make this deal now? Sima Yue asked with a smile. This result wasn't surprising to her at all. Wu Lingyu's pill refining skills weren't any lower than hers. There definitely wouldn't be any problems with the pills he refined. Jiu Yin then looked at her saying, how do you want to talk? Half a day later, the few of them descended the mountain. Third Aunt Du and Sima Yue had satisfied smiles on their faces. I didn't expect there to be so much silk this time. We can still come up every season to collect it. Just thinking about it makes me happy. Third Aunt Du thought about the pile of silk in the little realm, her eyes curved into crescents. Almost no one has come to the 9-turned snow silkworm's clan land in the past. These were all piled up by them in the past. Naturally, there will be a lot of them. Sima Yue said, based on their current rate of silk production, we won't have any problems with the supply of silk in the future. I didn't expect the snow silkworm clan to have so many people. It's many times more than Ruali and the others. Third Aunt Du said happily. But their conditions are quite harsh. They actually want 10 snow lotus pills a month. What if it's not enough? There won't be a problem, Sima Yue said. But didn't you say that snow lotus is very rare? It's rare in other places, but it's not rare here. Little Spirit has a lot, Sima Yue said. It was because of this that she was looked down upon by Little Spirit previously. Yu, are we going to look for ring silkworms now? Little Seven asked. Let's go. We'll solve the problem of the spirit cloth source today. It'll be more convenient for Third Aunt and the other embroiderers to handle things in the future, Sima Yue said. They went through a few valleys and arrived at a forest surrounded by poisonous miasma. Because the poisonous miasma here was too strong, Sima Yue didn't dare to guarantee Third Aunt's safety, so she left her outside. Not long after they walked in, a strand of silk quickly attacked them. Ringed silkworms are indeed ferocious, attacking without saying a word. Sima Yue grabbed the strand of silk and pulled hard. A black silkworm was pulled down from the tree. Since you like violence so much, then let's use violence to speak. Attack. Chapter 921. Ping ping pang, ah. One more. Wow. The miasma here was so thick that one couldn't see what was inside from 3 meters away. Third Aunt Du was outside the miasma and couldn't see what was happening inside. She could only hear the continuous wailing and couldn't help but worry about Sima Yue. But she couldn't go in, so she could only anxiously pace back and forth outside. Sanyang, you don't have to worry. They've even dealt with the poisonous creatures in the inner circle, not to mention the ringed silkworms. Ruali comforted her by her side. What's more, although those ringed silkworms are fierce and aggressive, their battle prowess isn't that strong. I believe they will be out soon. Yes. Third Aunt Du said. I hope so. Little Seven's battle prowess is impressive, but I can't see through Yoyue's senior brother. That person indeed gave off a very deep feeling, Ruali said. Furthermore, I always felt that he had an aura that I didn't like. Previously, I thought it was a dark aura, but the aura emanating from his body was indeed a light aura. Furthermore, he had cultivated the Sage Pavilion's mental cultivation method, which gave people a pure and holy feeling. That's why I feel like I'm wrong. So strange? Third Aunt Du said. Could he be a dangerous person? Maybe I was wrong back then. Ruali said. You know, we green silkworms are close to nature, so we are more sensitive to dark things. We can sense even the slightest bit of disharmony. I know what you're capable of, third Aunt Du said. But this time you may be really wrong. Yoyue's senior brother is the holy son of the Sage Pavilion, and is also the disciple of the divine Devil Valley's Valley Lord. Naturally, he wouldn't be someone of the dark attribute. Maybe I was wrong, Ruali said. Don't burn it. Don't burn them. The screams from inside interrupted their conversation. When third Aunt Du heard this, she smiled and said, Looks like you won. I already said that you don't have to worry, Ruali said. Inside the poisonous miasma, the little vermilion bird wandered around in the forest. From time to time it would bump into a tree. A 10,000-year-old tree turned into ashes in a few breaths of time. Sima Yue played with the flame in her hand. Facing the ringed silkworm that was crying for its parents after being beaten by the three of them, she said, How about it? Do you guys want to have a taste of our little birdie's power? No, the ringed silkworm king cried. We're willing to listen to you. Don't burn any more. Didn't you want to fight with us? Little Seven waved her fist. The ringed silkworm king looked at her and hurriedly kowtowed to beg for mercy, saying, We won't dare, we won't dare. We were wrong just now, we were wrong. Young lady, please don't take it to heart. Humph, what a spineless fellow. Little Seven looked at its cowardly appearance. Where was the imposing manner of a king? Look at Jiuyin, that temperament, that's called noble and flawless. This poison silkworm king was too cheap. I'm not going to talk nonsense with you. Sima Yue said. I'm here for something. What's the matter? The ringed silkworm king asked with trepidation. We want your silk. You want our silk. The ringed silkworm king was stunned, then asked very sensibly, How much do you want? All of it. All of it. The entire ringed silkworm clan cried out. Who? Little birdie flew around them in a circle, scaring them so much that they quickly lay down and didn't dare to move. Little Seven gave little birdie a flirtatious look. Smart little fellow. We have some silk these years. If you want it, you can take it. The ringed silkworm king said. It's not enough. Sima Yue shook her head. It's not enough? The ringed silkworm king really didn't know what else to do. I've built a force in the central regions. In the future, we'll develop the spirit cloth industry. Sima Yue said. I want you to provide us with silk. If you're willing to join our force, you'll be one of us in the future. Sima Yue said. If you're one of us, you'll be able to gain a lot of benefits. If you're not willing to join, we're very cruel to outsiders. Maybe we'll pull them over and beat them up. Little Seven threatened. Hearing her words, their bodies subconsciously trembled. If we join, what benefits will we get? The ringed silkworm king asked. I heard that other than eating poison, you also like to eat tincture and medicinal herbs. Sima Yue said. As for poison, we don't have the ability to produce it on a large scale, but we can still satisfy you with the other two things. If you follow us, at least you won't have to waste your energy to find tincture and medicinal herbs. How about it? I want to discuss with my clan. The ringed silkworm king said. I'm an enlightened king. The three of them were speechless as they looked at that dark and fat fellow. This narcissistic and ugly fellow really made people want to poke their own eyes out. Go. Sima Yue said. I'll give you 10 minutes. A group of serial silkworms dragged their injured bodies together and began to talk to each other. In order not to let Yue and the rest hear what they were saying, they still used their own clan's language. After 10 minutes, Sima Yue coughed, and those fellows immediately ran behind the ringed silkworm king. Have you finished discussing? She asked. Yes. The ringed silkworm king said. If you want us to join you, we can do that, but we can't be short on tincture and medicinal herbs. No problem. Sima Yue agreed. Also, you can't let us leave here. The ringed silkworm king said. We've lived here for a few generations. If you ask us to leave, it's the same as asking us to leave our home. We don't agree. We don't plan to let you migrate. Sima Yue said. You can stay here for as long as you want. Really? Why would I lie to you? Sima Yue said. We asked you to join us just so that you can produce silk for us. It's not like we want you to sell your bodies. Although they didn't like the word sell, they didn't have to leave here, and there were still tincture and medicinal herbs to sell. If they wanted the silk, they could take it. Okay, then we promise you, we'll join your clan, the ringed silkworm king said. Okay, after I've researched the antidote for the inner region, someone will contact you, Sima Yue said. Now you can hand over all the silk you produced before. There's one more request, the ringed silkworm king said. Since we're part of you, you have to protect us if any poisonous creatures come to invade us. If you're part of us, no one in Heartbreak Valley can bully you, Sima Yue said. But if you go out and do evil, then don't blame us for not caring. Okay. Having this guarantee was better than having no guarantee. The ringed silkworm king comforted itself, and then ordered its people to move the silk it produced in advance. But when he turned his head to take a look, the expression on this guy's face couldn't be any more normal. It looked as if he really liked to eat strawberries. Seeing her shy look, Wu Lingyu laughed in his heart. He kissed her face and said, "This is a sincere reward." Sima Yue glared at him. Fortunately, San Yang and Little Seven had walked to the front and didn't notice them. Otherwise, she would definitely beat him up. Let's go. Wu Lingyu naturally held her hand and led her back. Little Seven turned around and blinked at the two of them. She heard everything. This little guy. Sima Yue looked at Little Seven in amusement. What did Grandpa say to you when we were eating that day? You want to know? Wu Lingyu asked. Yes. She wanted to know how Grandpa and the others saw him. Grandpa said that he won't interfere in our matters. He agreed that we should be together, Wu Lingyu said. The first sentence was true, but the second sentence was just his imagination. But that was what Grandpa meant, so he didn't twist his understanding. Grandpa really said that? Grandpa also said that he wants me to marry you as soon as possible. Impossible. You must be making it up. Grandpa wouldn't say that. Grandpa wouldn't want me to get married as soon as possible. Hee, something like that. Wu Lingyu said, but the boyfriend you mentioned in the chaotic realm, am I your boyfriend now? Can you do what I said? Sima Yue asked back. Aren't I doing it now? Sima Yue broke free from his hand and ran out. She turned around and smiled. Then we'll talk about being a boyfriend after you've done it. After saying that, she ran back. But the moment she turned around, she fell into an embrace. Yue, be my woman. Sima Yue didn't expect this guy to teleport. Before she could react, a certain someone's affectionate words came from above her head. Her heart instantly sped up. She didn't know how to answer him. Her language skills seemed to be stuck at this moment. Wu Lingyu didn't wait for her reply and asked, "You don't want to?" A certain someone was still silent. Wu Lingyu sighed and said, "All right, forget it if you don't want to be my woman." Sima Yue's heart ached for no reason. She only thought about it for a while and he gave up. But before the pain spread, she felt him kiss her hair and said, "Since you don't want to be my woman, I won't force you. However, let me be your man." Boom! A warm current spread from her heart, filling her heart to the brim. Then, it spread to her limbs and bones, making her whole body feel warm. Yue, isn't my suggestion good? Do you agree? Wu Lingyu let go of her and looked into her eyes seriously. You want to be my man? She asked. Yes. But there are many requirements to be my man. The most important one is that you can only have me in your eyes and in your heart. Can you do that? Look at my eyes. Wu Lingyu said. What do you see? I boogers. Sima Yue thought of a scene she saw in her previous life and couldn't help but laugh. All right, at such an important moment in her life, she shouldn't be thinking about such trivial things. Wu Lingyu saw the mischievous smile on her face and knew that she must have thought of something bad. He reached out his finger and scratched her nose, saying, "In my eyes and in my heart, in the past and in the future, there will only be you. I also belong to you. All right, since you're so sincere, I'll reluctantly agree to let you be my boyfriend. But I'll say it first. If you don't meet my standards, I'll have to change you." Since she also had feelings, why couldn't she have a taste of two people's lives? Wu Lingyu looked at her playful smile and hugged her waist, lowering his head to kiss her. I won't let you have that chance. In the future, you're mine and I will also be yours. Chapter 923. You are mine and I am yours. It was a simple oath, gentle yet domineering. The gentle kiss was not as forceful as before, nor was it as light as a dragonfly skimming the surface of the water. It showed the two people's attachment to each other. This was the kiss of true love, Sima Yue thought. He didn't expect her to be distracted at this moment. Wu Lingyu held her head and deepened the kiss. She, who was still thinking about other things, was lost in the sea of gentleness following his rhythm. After kissing for a while, he finally let go of her. Seeing her delicate red lips, he couldn't help but kiss her again. Sima Yue took this opportunity to come back to her senses. She lightly hit his shoulder and said embarrassedly, Third Aunt and Little Seven are still in front. Wu Lingyu could feel the two people snickering in the distance. He kissed her lips again before letting go of her. However, he didn't let go of her. Instead, he grabbed her hand. At this moment, his heart was truly filled to the brim. It turned out that all this time, he hadn't been able to do anything because he hadn't had her. Let's go. If we don't go, Sanyang and the others will laugh at us. Sima Yue said. Sanyang and the others are experienced people. They won't laugh at us. Even though he said that, he still held her hand and walked back. He only caught up with them when they reached the next miasma. Third Aunt Du looked at Sima Yue's red lips and knew what the two of them had just done. Looking at their tightly clasped hands, there was nothing she didn't understand. Lingyu. She looked at Wu Lingyu and said, Can I call you that? Third Madam is Yue's elder, so she's naturally my elder as well. Wu Lingyu said. Since you're with Yue, I won't say much. But now that you're together, you have to be good. You're not allowed to bully Yue. Third Madam, don't worry. I definitely won't let you down. Wu Lingyu said sincerely. I'll trust you first. I also trust Yue's judgment. Third Aunt Du said. But if you let Yue down, we won't be so nice. Yes, I will remember Third Madam's words. Wu Lingyu obediently replied. Okay, then let's go back. Third Aunt Du turned and left. Sima Yue looked at Third Aunt Du, and then at Wu Lingyu. She snickered in her heart. When Third Aunt scolded people, she still had the aura of an elder. Wu Lingyu was also very polite in front of her relatives. This kind of well-behaved and obedient manner, whether it was as the holy son of the sage pavilion, or as the devil king of the devil realm, had never been seen before. Wu Lingyu saw the smile in her eyes, and reached out to ruffle her hair. Let's go. When they returned to the valley, with Little Seven's little microphone, the news of Sima Yue and Wu Lingyu being together quickly spread throughout the valley. Shimen Feng and Shimen Li were not surprised. Although they felt that it was a little fast, there were already signs. When the Shimen clan heard the news, they were all happy for Sima Yue. They knew some things about Sima Yue and heard that she had suffered so much. They also hoped that someone could be with her. Only Feng Kai and the other brothers were very surprised. Boss was really together with that man? They felt that their hearts were broken. Their boss was actually turned gay by this guy. It was Little Seven who saw that they were all in pain, and kindly told them that Yue was actually a girl. Girl? You're saying that boss is a girl? Annie was stunned for a moment, and immediately jumped up from the stool. The others were not as exaggerated as him, but they had similar expressions. Little Seven dodged the tea that Dai Yi spat out, and saw Shichen's cup fall to the ground and shatter. The tea lid even spun twice on the ground before stopping. Yu is a girl. Do you have to be so surprised? She dug her ears and was almost deafened by Annie. Of course we're surprised. Annie shouted. How can boss be a girl? How can boss be a girl? Boss is actually a girl. Woo, my heart is seriously hurt. Don't tell me you want Yu to be a guy? And then be together with brother Lingyu. A guy? Damn, so you have such a strong taste. Little Seven shouted. Pay, what strong taste? I don't want boss to do such a thing. Annie shouted. But boss is a girl. Boss is actually a girl. So what if she's a girl? Little Seven couldn't understand their shock. For someone who is only a fraction of our age but stronger than us, it's already unacceptable that she's a guy. Now she's actually saying that she's a girl. This is too much of a blow. Dai said. TSK, you guys value boys over girls. I'm not talking to you guys anymore. Little Seven waved her hand and ignored the 10 people who were so shocked that they couldn't find their bearings. Big brother, boss is actually a girl. Anayani looked at Fengji. I heard what Little Seven said. Fengji's expression was indifferent as he leaned back in his chair. Among the 10 brothers, he was the calmest. Big brother is so calm. Anayani said. Aren't you surprised? I'm surprised. Fengji said. But being surprised doesn't change anything. Boss is still boss. Sai, it's really a huge blow. Dai said. Actually, when boss was a guy, you guys weren't so shocked. Now that she's a girl, you guys find it hard to accept. Fengji said. Little Seven is right. You guys value boys over girls. Second brother and the rest are just as shocked as us. Anayani said. Sai, I need to digest this news. Really, it's too much of a blow. Actually, you shouldn't be shocked because she's a girl. Instead, you should think that this girl is actually taken. That's the real blow. It seemed to make sense. Sai, if we knew boss was a girl, then we would have made the first move. Anayani held his chest and shouted. Forget it. With your unreliable appearance, even if we knew boss wouldn't like you, you should stop for a while. Fengji said. Really, I can't even think about it. Anayani was shocked and decided to ignore him for 2 days. Boss is already so handsome in men's clothing. I wonder how stunning she would be if she were to dress as a girl. Kongren said. Why don't you guys give boss a suggestion and let her dress as a girl for us to see? Hongwu said. You guys can go if you're not afraid of death. Sixth brother, I feel that boss won't beat you to death. Go and try. Just say that it's to comfort her hurt heart. Boss will definitely agree. Dai urged. I'll go. Anayani said. You guys wait. I'll definitely make boss dress as a girl for us to see. After saying that, he really ran out. This old six really went. Shurchen didn't manage to catch him in time. He shook his head and said, Boss won't beat him up, but that holy sun might. Chapter 924. Half an hour later, Anayani returned. I'm back. Boss said that everyone will celebrate tomorrow night. At that time, she will wear women's clothes and go out. Anayani entered the door and said the news he had just received. Surprisingly, he came back with all 4 limbs intact. He didn't even have any dark circles under his eyes or wrinkles in his clothes. You actually came back in one piece. Dai Yi's eyes widened as he looked at him in disbelief. Why are you so surprised that I came back in one piece? Your eyeballs almost fell out. Anayani returned to his previous seat and sat down. I say, you went to ask boss to wear women's clothing, Yusi asked. That's right. Anayani nodded proudly and said, I went to tell boss and asked if she was really a girl. She admitted it, and then I acted all hurt. In the end, I suggested for her to dress up as a girl. She said that she was going to wear women's clothes at the party tomorrow. Then I'll be back. No one beat you up, Hongwu asked. No, Anayani said. Why? Are you all thinking that I'll get beaten up if I go? It's strange that he didn't get beaten up, Yusi said. That's right. No, why do you think I'll be beaten up? Anayani didn't understand what the disappointment in these guys' eyes meant. Where's Wu Lingyu? I heard that he went back to pick someone up. Anayani said, I think he went to pick up boss's brothers. No wonder. Everyone revealed an expression of understanding. They knew it. How could he not be beaten if he rushed over like that? It turned out that it was because the person was not there. Only then did Anayani react. He jumped up and pointed at them, saying, Well, you all know that you'll get beaten up if you go, but you still want me to go. You guys are really. We couldn't hold you back. Who told you to run so fast? Shurchen said indifferently. He deliberately slowed down by a beat and didn't pull, but the nature was actually the same. Annie understood this and sat back down to sulk. These guys, how come I've never seen them this bad before? I'll be able to see her in women's clothing tomorrow night. I'm really curious, Foam Kai said. Yeah, I can't imagine it. We'll know tomorrow. This is the first time I've looked forward so much to a new day. I think so. Annie was speechless. Couldn't they see that he was angry? Alright, these guys were purposely ignoring him. The next day, in Sima Yu's courtyard, Shimin Li, third Aunt Du, and Xiaowu were helping Sima Yue dress up in the house. Sanyang, I don't need these things. Sima Yue removed the jewelry from her head. My head will break if I put so much jewelry on my head. Today is the founding day of the sect. You have to dress up well. Third Aunt Du said. Sanyang, the sect master, is Feng or not me. I don't need to dress up. Just act like before. Sima Yu said. Nominally, it's Feng, but in everyone's hearts, you're the real sovereign. Third Aunt Du said. Everyone is looking forward to your makeup this time. Even so, you don't need these. Sima Yue looked at her empty hair in the mirror. She found a blood jade hairpin from the jewelry pile and inserted it into her hair. It's done. Today she was wearing a white dress. The red silk thread at the hem of the dress was embroidered with a lifelike phoenix. There were a few red patterns on the sleeves that corresponded to the phoenix, and a red belt around her waist showed off her slender figure. Now with the blood jade hairpin, it complemented the dress. Sister, do you want to put on makeup? Shimin Li took out the makeup items and looked at Sima Yue. Sima Yue shook her head and refused. She hated to put these things on her face. Hee, sister doesn't need to put on these makeup. You look good too. Look at your skin. I'm afraid water will drip out if I touch it, Shimin Li said. Speaking of which, sister and I are the same age, but sister looks younger than me. Your mouth is getting sweeter. Sima Yue looked at her in the mirror and smiled. Shimin Li hugged Sima Yue from behind and said, no matter what sister becomes, she will always be my sister. The three of us siblings will always be together. Okay. Sima Yue smiled sweetly. Although she had gone through so much, although she still felt heartache when she thought about the past, she was already very grateful that she still had her family to accompany her. Do you think my future sister-in-law will come today? Shimin Li asked. She should. Sima Yue said. Let's see if your second brother is fast enough. I can even see that you are my partner today. Hee, I will get to know my sister's friends after she was reborn. Shimin Li said. I heard my sister talk about them a lot. I'm very curious about them. And your brothers, will they treat me as a sister too? If they know that they have a sister, they will be very happy. Sima Yue smiled and said. They always said that I don't have a sister, and that I can't satisfy their need to protect me. Now that they know that you are here, their need to protect me will definitely appear again. I was the younger one in the past, and I will still be the younger one in the future. Shimin Li said. Actually, I want to be a sister too. It doesn't feel bad to have a younger one for me to protect. Yes, isn't Xiaowu younger than you? Sima Yue said. When the two of you are together in the future, you can protect Xiaowu. That's true. Shimin Li said to Xiaowu. I will protect you in the future. Xiaowu pouted and said. I will be very powerful too. Even if you are powerful, you still need someone to protect you. Shimin Li giggled and said. If a bad person bullies you, just tell me. I will help you beat him up. Sima Yue heard her tone and her head hurt. Li don't always be with little Seven in the future. Why? Shimin Li looked at her sister in confusion. She will pass her bandit aura to you. Sima Yue said. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.